Good morning everyone and welcome to Lake Macquarie, Day 2, first round of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships. It is another stunning day, a little bit brighter than it was earlier on yesterday, where the racing started at about 12 p.m, 11 a.m. for our first race start here this morning. I'm Jamie McCarthy. Thank you to the team from Blendline TV for the live stream today, which is available on the Blendline TV YouTube channel and Facebook page, and also the Offshore Superboat Australia Facebook page. So just remember, don't click on any link to take you somewhere else and ask for money. This is a free live stream service as part of the championship, so don't do that. Relatively simple. So weather-wise, forecast today was for 26 degrees. The wind direction's changed. It's more or less coming in from the north. Yesterday it was sort of coming across the lake from Warners Bay towards us here where we are at Marmont Point, and the boats are coming down off Warners downwind, probably with a little bit of lift up over the other side of the course down towards Bolton Point. So that wind direction definitely has changed. It was beautiful and dead calm out here this morning. We had breakfast over at Warners Bay at about 8 a.m. this morning at one of the local cafes, and it was like a mill pond. So we've got a little bit of breeze now, just with a little chop on the water. Still see some very, very fast speeds. Talking to Steve Jallick and Boost Mobile this morning. Look, they conservatively were seeing speeds of around 123 miles an hour here yesterday. It's a relatively short course, so really not a huge opportunity for these big boats to really, really stretch their legs in a big straight run. So we do have some things to talk about from yesterday with the Supersports 65 and 85 class, but we'll come back to that later when they run their third and final race at the conclusion of this first half-hour race, which is race 2 for the Supercat Extremes and Supercat Outboards. There were some disqualifications and time penalties across both of those classes affecting both races, but we'll cover that off a little bit later on this morning with our second race start scheduled at 12 p.m. and then the big boats will be back out at 1 p.m. That's New South Wales time. In New Zealand, you're 2 hours ahead. Queensland, you're 1 hour behind. Adelaide, I think there's half an hour or something in there, but I can't remember what. But if you are tuning into the coverage from New Zealand here in Australia and maybe over in the US and Europe, welcome. The opening round, we saw some great racing here yesterday. So news with the Superboats coming out onto the course now in preparation for their second race of the weekend. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like Acme is going to be able to make the start. They went out for an early morning run this morning to try some things again. So they took all of the old fuel out of the boat yesterday, put a fresh load of fuel in it. They've changed fuel filters. They've changed gear sets. The problem that they were chasing, with the boat not loaded, the engines are running fine, but as soon as they got up onto load and got it up to power, it wouldn't get over a certain rev range, which was just hurting them for straight line speed. So it did get up on the plane yesterday, but they were wary that there were other things going on. So they've tried another couple of things this morning. It hasn't quite gone right. So unfortunately, Acme is a scratching from this race. So we will have 5 Supercat Extremes and our 4 Supercat Outboards. So the story of yesterday's race, Boost Mobile, Darren Nicholson and Steve Jallick pretty much dominated and did it pretty easily for a run. Obviously, all of our thoughts and their thoughts with Peter Muddy McGrath back up there on the Gold Coast, who's got a bit of a fight on his hands up there, buddy. So, Pete, if you're watching, you and Sue, we're all thinking about you, and everyone's missing you down here, mate. However, yeah, Jelly is very, very wary that at some stage you're going to get back in that boat and kick his ass. So yeah, Boost Mobile taking the victory. Second place, and this was a giant killing performance as we go on board here with the Sting. So the Sting's going to be carrying one of our live onboards for the coverage. Mojo, wow. Stuart Eustace and Todd Kelly. Yes, that Todd Kelly, 2005 Bathurst winner, Todd Kelly. So last time Todd was in this boat in Mojo, he was with Steve Jallick. Jallick was on the throttles and Todd was driving. That was in one of the championship rounds towards the end of last season. So Stevie Jallick's obviously stepped into Boost Mobile this weekend, and Stuart Eustace, who owns the boat. First time in race conditions yesterday, with Todd first time in throttleman position yesterday. Finished second to Boost Mobile. That was a huge, huge effort. That was my player of the day moment yesterday for Superboats. And in third, another giant-killing performance, also on debut in a brand new combination, Mick and Jason Kelly in Hornet Racing. So they've stepped up and purchased the ex-Pro Floors Cure Kids 34-foot skater out of New Zealand recently, with the 525 Mercruisers in the back of it. So that's running at about 1,050 horsepower, as opposed to the big 510s running around them, which are between 1,550 and 1,600 horsepower, with sort of 750 to 800 horsepower on board on each side of the boat. So that was a massive performance from them as well. Problems for Venturi. So Venturi's back out there this morning. They split a water hose on the right-hand engine in that boat, and the problem that they're chasing, and they figured out that caused it, was very, very high water pressure through the system of that race boat. Ideally, that water pressure usually sits around, as we're looking on board here. That'll be Mojo. It's Todd Kelly to the left, Stuart Eustace to the right, Stuart on the wheel, Todd with the Nissan V8 supercar suit on. So they were chasing water pressure problems. The boys are telling me they normally run sort of 20 to 25 psi. They were seeing 45 to 50 psi. So they've taken some of the restrictors out of the water system. They've been out for a couple of runs this morning and back in. So they've sort of been chopping and chasing, trying to get that water pressure down, because they believe that's what the issue was that split one of the water hoses on the right-hand engine. So they shut that down, obviously, out the back of the course as the temperatures started to come up. They borrowed a hose off the Hornet team, who's got a spare pair of 525s in the truck for that boat. So the water systems between the 525 and the 565 is pretty much the same, 502 cubic inches, just a little bit different configuration, probably with the fueling and the heads and that, with the 565s that are now in the X-Ting 3 boat, now known as Venturi. So they've made that step up to the 565 horsepower engines over the 525s. I saw some of the weights on the scales this morning with the crane, and we do have to say a big thank you to the locals here, Empire Marina, Lake Macquarie Council, Hornet Property Services, and Wilson Lifts. Going up on the crane this morning, most of the bigger boats are in that sort of 4.4 tonne range, which is the minimum. Acme was actually 4.9, so they were definitely on the heavier side. I believe in what they used to run in New Zealand with the 525 with the Hornet Racing boat. Those boats weighed in at around 3.2 tonne. Now going to Supercat outboard. Dominating performance yesterday by the Sting, Mike Ratcliffe and Carl Wall. They really did a very, very good job, and that boat looked very, very happy on the water with the V8 4-stroke Mercuries on board. In second was TCR Racing. Kess Racing. In third was TCR Racing, with DL Offshore also out there finishing in the fourth position. So 9 boats out there on the water for race number 1. 30 minutes race duration. We're about 5 minutes away from sending them on their parade / sighting / formation lap, and then we'll be into the action. Then our second race from 12 p.m. will be this third and final race of the weekend for the Supercat 60, for the Supersports 65 and Supersports 85s. And then our final race from 1 p.m. will be the third and final race for the Supercat Extremes and Supercat Outboards. So that on board, we are watching, that is on board with the Mojo crew. Stuart Eustace, whose previous motorsport experience was circuit racing. Now, you can see the green light flashing up in the centre of that picture. The Australian Offshore Championship are trialling a new onboard lighting system, which is similar to what they run in NASCAR and some of the other sports overseas. And they, I believe, I've just got Mark Tolcher over here to my right. Hey, Mark, that new lighting system, they've been running that in the US Championship, the onboard lighting system? Yeah, so Mark's, yeah, so they've tried it over there as well. So we're still using the normal flags and everything like that, but once they go out, they have a green light if there's any safety flags, reds, and a checkered flag. So that's a new lighting system in conjunction. So that's on board most of the boats, definitely on board all of the bigger boats that we're trialling this weekend. It's not the system that is being run rule-wise that has to be run. It's just being trialled at the moment, but that's what that light was in the centre of the screen on board there with Mojo. So I spoke to Stuart Eustace yesterday, and one of the cool things that come out of it, I said, so, new race boat, you come out of circuit racing, no boat racing experience, why the name Mojo? And he's obviously close friends with the Kelly family, and that was the name of all of the Kelly family ski boats. So that's where the Mojo name came from. The Sting, Carl Wall, racing for Lockie. Carl's young fellow who passed away quite a few years ago now, and racing for Lockie's on a few of these boats out there. The Sting set up in the pit here at Empire Marina is spectacular. Very, very impressive setup for the Supercat outboards team. So we've got a live onboard in the cockpit and one looking out the back over the back of those V8 300 Mercury race engines. So definitely a little change in wind direction. Yesterday, I think it was coming back across. You'll know how, mate. But yeah, definitely a change in wind direction. So from our left to right, so out where the Sting is sort of out towards Spears Point there at the moment, that's sort of heading in the northern direction. Oh, how cool a shot is that? Boost Mobile 222 Offshore. That is cool. So that's one of our drones. The boys thought they'd get tricky this morning and throw two up. That is a cool, cool shot. So I think that light on our screen's actually taken off the feed, so that'll dictate the race start when it goes green. So that wasn't actually in the cockpit. That wasn't where it was positioned in the cockpit of the Mojo boat. So, geez, these boys are throwing it all out there. Back on board with Boost Mobile, so that's looking off the rear deck. The former world champions, former Australian one, Darren Nicholson. Very relaxed Darren Nicholson, I've got to say. I think the most headache he's had all weekend was a broken TV in the race transporter. And Steve Jalek, oh, that is a cool shot. I did dare the boys to try and get some go with the boat stuff with the drones. I think they listened to me. Even I've got the 222 boys taking photos over my shoulder. Oh, that is an epic shot. That is way cool. So this is just a sighting lap, formation lap. Again, thank you to the team from Blendline TV, guys. It's been a pleasure working with you this weekend. I've been spoiled. I've got monitors. I've got timing. I've got my own little tent set up. I'm not on top of the truck this morning. We've taken everything down, so it was a little bit easier for them to set up. So these big Class 1 boats, 4.4, 4.5 tonne, around between 1,500 and 1,600 horsepower, depending on your engine builder. This boat won race one yesterday. Former national champ, former world champions. The team are up to Key West in Florida in a couple of weeks' time. Marky Mark's up there next week, preparing the other boat up in the US, which is in the colours of Mobile X, the sister company to Boost Mobile up there in America. Hornet going past us with the 525s, Venturi with the 565s, Mojo with the big 510 cubers in, and Team Australia. Now that was another story from yesterday with Team Australia. Big 12-metre Maritimo. I sort of thought I said the right thing, and I pretty much did. I was sort of confirming with Paul Felds last night. They definitely had a trim issue, so they had the trims pretty much doing their own thing, which is not ideal in one of these boats. In these conditions, you can get away with a little bit more, but it just sucked all the speed. You can see how big the rooster tail was on the coverage with Team Australia yesterday. So Foldsy was having a problem with, I think, the right-hand side, which is starboard. Starboard's the right-hand side, Mark? Steering side's the starboard side. Okay, so port, there's no port left. Port's on the left-hand side. So I think Foldsy was having problems with the right-hand trim where it was down a few more degrees than the left-hand one. And what they figured out after the race, it was literally a case of turn it off and turn it on again to reset it, because that's basically what they did when they came back off the crane into Empire Marina and reset it all. So he now knows what to do if it happens, because he hasn't been on the throttles of this boat too much in racing conditions. They've done a little bit of testing, but that's about it. So Foldsy's usually in one of the smaller boats. So that's the reason why. And we could see that yesterday between Boost and especially Team Australia, how much bigger the rooster tail was in racing conditions from the blue and white boat. And that was because they were chasing trim problems. But he now knows what to do to reset it. And if it plays up again, he also now knows what to do it manually. So, and I also said to him, with about 2 laps to go, it went past and it sounded a little bit fluffy on one of the engines. And he said he had one engine a lot further down on RPM because the trim was so upset. It wanted to steer the boat by itself rather than try and keep it in a straight line. So he was actually back off the throttle with the other one on the rev limiter, which made it sound a little bit different, which I did pick up with the coverage yesterday. So on board with Boost Mobile, they're over there. Now, I think that suburb before they get to Warners Bay, the suburb over there is, I think it's Alibana. I don't know how you pronounce it, but that's where it is over that side of the lake. This course is 6.5 kilometres long. I think on the track map it showed 7, so there was actually a little shortening of the track down at H&I Mark down off Spears Point, which did shorten up the course from a few weeks back when all of that was published. So slight little course change yesterday. So the boats are pretty much opposite us here at commentary and race control. Here is the track map coming up as I say that. Thank you, boys. So we're at the northern end of Lake Macquarie. We're at the start-finish mark down to B and C, which is down towards Bolton Point. Over to D, E, F, and E and F is directly in front of Warners Bay. And there is a heap of people over there this morning. So it says 7.1, but it's been shortened to 6.5. Race duration 30 minutes. So with the wind coming in from the north now, that start-finish run off the H&I marks is pretty much going to be downwind. So the upwind run is going to be over the back of the course towards Warners Bay, and then they make a pretty sharp left-hand turn off the foreshore at Warners Bay. So we're back on board with the Mojo boys. So pole boat and inside run starter will be Boost Mobile. Acme was pole boat yesterday, but they're not out there. So whether they leave that gap off 4 or what, I'm not too sure. But they will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across for the race start. Looks all pretty calm and collected in the cockpit of Mojo at the moment. So yesterday, one of the other things we also noticed too is that the 600 boats, the outboard boats, were a long way back off the race start. As from front on, we can see the 5 superboats heading towards us. The 600s were so far back because some of the bigger boats actually got a bit of a cruise on, and Acme was trying to keep the boat up on the plane and managed to get away from the outboard boats. And they were actually lapped down at the B mark off their race start by Boost Mobile. And Darren Nicholson had to contend with 4 600 outboard boats going down to the B mark 4 wide because they're not supposed to break formation until they get around B and C. So that had the eyes open for the Boost Mobile boys. Team Australia on the outside closest to the foreshore. Mojo out of 4. Venturi Offshore out of 3, Hornet from 2, Boost Mobile out of pole position number 1. For race number 2, Lake Macquarie Offshore Superboats, round number 1 of the Australian Championship. Round number 2 is at Werribee, just out of Melbourne, in February 2026. All the upcoming race dates are on the Offshore Superboats Australia Facebook page. But the next round of the championship, there is a little bit of a gap until 2026. But Werribee, which is a pretty cool race course. Victorians get to see these big boats again. So they'll actually make a run up the inside of H&I here, just to give them a little bit of a wider arc, although Team Australia are going to go around the outside. They'll start picking up the throttle. So we don't have a start boat. The starter's orders will be it. So keep an eye on that light at the top of the screen When Russell Embleton, our race director, says go, then we get a race start. The race start is past the checkered flag buoys and the A mark. There's 2 orange buoys a little bit further down the course. That's where the race start should be. Team Australia's right up against the shore here. They start taking throttle now as they are side by side. And we go green. We are racing here at Lake Macquarie for race number 2. Nice even start. And the outboard boats, likewise, about to take the green for them. They'll be listening to the race radio. That looked like a pretty nice lineup as well, with Sting off pole, Kess Racing from 2, TCR from 3, and DLR Offshore out of grid position 4. As Boost's already got the little jump, not unexpected. Mojo, like yesterday, going right there with them in the early laps. Venturi slots into 3rd. Actually, where's Hornet? Hornet's over the outside of Mojo, so they were side by side on board with Stuart Eustace and Todd Kelly. So Todd's on the throttles on the left-hand side of the boat, and he's also controlling the trim. Hornet now to their inside as they head over towards E mark. So they've just cleared D on the opening lap. Good clean start from the Supercat outboards as well, as they thunder across the back of Lake Macquarie from us towards Warners Bay on the opening lap. Slightly different wind condition direction-wise, but similar conditions to the first race yesterday. As the extreme boats run across Warners Bay, and there is a big, big crowd over that side of the lake. And now they head back down towards us. Off the F mark, they'll head to the inside of the G with a right-hander down towards Spears Point as we watch the Sting approaching Warners Bay. So 2 separate race starts for the extremes. Oh, Mojo. Oh, not on screen, but I just watched Mojo run around G and the boat got sideways. Absolutely got sideways. So Todd Kelly, you'll be in Stu's ear just going, settle down, settle down. And Hornet's got an inside run up to them too, H and I, as the Sting heads back down towards us. And the big boys are about to complete the first lap right in front of us. Sting under pressure from Kess Racing. The 2 V8 Mercuries, both similarly powered, as Boost Mobile comes past us. And Kess Racing have got through to the lead in Supercat outboard. Side by side, the Sting Racing and Kess. So these are 2 they're exactly the same engine package. They're the 300 horsepower 4-stroke V8 Mercuries. Kess Racing is the former Saracen Mantis racing machine, a former One Australia. Anthony Defina now obviously in the Venturi Racing Extreme Boat. So the Sting looking for 2 from 2, but under pressure from Kess. Kess really taking it to them. Kess Racing, Steve Lancaster and Scott Kelly, one of about 18 Kellys racing here this weekend. TCR goes through and behind them. They're about 5 seconds back. And I'm just watching over the other side of the bay now as Boost just gets a little bit of advantage now over Hornet, who slots into 2nd ahead of Mojo. So Sting just making the run off B and C, heading back towards the centre of the lake. So that's down towards Bolton Point here at Lake Macquarie. And we've got the sound of extreme boats just echoing around this absolutely magnificent place. Kess still taking it to Sting Racing, up to the D mark. This is Mojo back in 3rd. So that wash just in front of Mojo will be the Hornet. Now, on board now with Stuart Eustace and Todd Kelly. I would love to have seen the onboard at this part of the track about 5 minutes ago, because Eustace had a big sideways moment. These 2 boats pretty much on top of each other. Hornet to the port side. Mojo in the rooster tail to the outside of Hornet on the approach to H&I. So Stuart Eustace, just his second ever race in an offshore superboat. He's previously raced circuit cars. Boost comes past us to complete another lap. Gap back to Hornet is about 10 seconds, with Mojo within a couple of seconds of the Hornet. Now, what I was about to say before we went to that onboard, two very, very different boats. So you've got Mojo at 11 metres, Hornet racing at 10, so giving away a metre. That's 34 foot for the Hornet. Former New Zealand and Australian offshore champ Wayne Velder came over with that boat a few years ago and actually picked up an Australian title. Boat's now permanently in Australia. Now that's running a pair of 525 horsepower, 502 cubic inch Mercruiser big blocks in it. They were the spec engine we ran in New Zealand, and for a time here were a second sort of tier class to the superboats with the package. We tried to get New Zealand and Australia to run together, but unfortunately it never happened. But they're doing a really good job, because that's 1,050 horsepower with Mojo in behind them at probably close to 1,600 horse, but a lot more weight. So the advantage for Hornet is they're probably close to a ton lighter. As we watch Kess racing here, they've just gone past us here at Race Control, and back to the Hornet over the back. So a very, very different looking boat to the bigger boats. This is 34 feet long versus some of the 40s and 42s around them. Currently being chased by this boat, Stuart Eustace and Todd Kelly. Kelly, the 2005 Bathurst winner, former supercar racer. I asked the boys last night, what made you want to go superboat racing? And said, look, we were just a little bit over circuit racing. We want to do something a little bit different, so why not? We decided to go offshores with a 1,600 horsepower, 40-foot long offshore superboat. Last lap for Boost Mobile was a 2:29. There's the gap between Hornet and Mojo. They've just made the run off G-Mark, heading down towards Spears Point. Then they make the run around H&I, and that brings them to Marmong Point and Empire Marina here on the lake. So Steve Jalek on the throttles alongside Darren Nicholson. Oh, might have been another little moment there for Eustace, just going through the wash of Hornet ahead of them. That's probably given Hornet a little bit of an extension on the lead. See what the gap is this time. It's still about 10 seconds down to Boost. Hornet goes through about 4 seconds back to Mojo. I think Mojo might have just gotten a little bit tight down there at H&I and scrubbed off a little bit of exit speed. So that's Hornet running in the water of Boost there at the moment. The yellow and purple, it's a stunningly presented boat. Mojo with a little bit of a gain here in a straight line, which you would expect with the big horsepower advantage. Eustace now, he tucks back into the wash of the Hornet down off C mark as they head back across the lake to D. Lots of spectator craft around the boat. We've got a couple of big corporate boats out there as well. Back on board with Stuart Eustace and Todd Kelly. Todd said the most interesting thing about yesterday was sitting on the other side of the boat not having a steering wheel in his hand, because it's the first time he's done it as a throttleman. Team Australia continue to circulate Darren Apps and Paul Folds. On top of their trim problems from yesterday, Darren's come out of ski boat racing as we go back looking over at Mojo, just on the approach to the Warners Bay foreshore, as already Boost has come off the F mark, off Warners Bay, heading back around G down towards Spears Point. As always with Darren Nicholson, just absolutely beautifully presented race boat and race team. It's worth having a look down here at Empire Marina at the setup with the support truck They've got a full Pantech set up as a support truck, even a little mini moke sitting out there all done up in boost colours. Great shot there of Hornet, still being chased by Mojo. There's only a couple of seconds in between them. Just off the back of Hornet by about 4 boat lengths. So Boost Mobile is going to have some traffic to contend with shortly. There goes Boost going through. Hornet making that bottom mark, which is the sharpest turn on the course. Shot across from one of the boats on the inside of the racecourse, looking back here at us at Race Control and Empire Marina. We're right there on the left. You can see our race truck, where Russell Embleton, our race director, is based out, so he'll be on the radios. He's talking to the various rescue boats, maritime, everyone around the racecourse. He's got the race teams on radio, and he's also in control of that new light. So if you have a look down to the left-hand side of that roll bar in the centre of the boat, you can see that green light. So that's the new lighting system that they're trialling here. So obviously we are under green flag conditions off the race start. We do not want that to go red. Red is bad. If we see the checkered flag at the end of the race on that one, that is good, all right? So we don't want to see a red flag. That means something's happened, and we've got a rescue team having to go to assistance. Mojo still trying to chase down Hornet. We saw here a few years ago with the former Team 3 running 525s. Now, just to the left of me, I just heard one of the big boats go off song, or did someone stop? Because the foreshore here has just sort of ducked their heads around the corner to see what's going on there, so just keep an eye on that. So the leaders are over at Warners Bay. I'm just looking back across the bay now. So Boost's just come off F. Sting's just coming past us now as leading Supercat outboard. Still Hornet in second, chased by this boat, Mojo. Kess Racing still second overall. They've just crossed the line here in front of us. I thought I heard someone shut down. It was an odd sound, or something odd happened to the left of us down towards Spears. So starting to get a little bit busy for some of the bigger boats in lap traffic. That was Mojo going around DLR Offshore. Craig Dove and Lachlan Dove. Father and son combination out there enjoying themselves. This is the former Red Bellies boat. Raced for so many years in Australia and even over in New Zealand. So here comes Boost. So just wondering where Team Australia 2 is, because I'm pretty sure Venturi's over by Warners Bay. Here comes Hornet and Mojo still. Little extension there for Hornet on that last lap. Boost Mobile with a 332, Hornet 340, 334, and Mojo at a 338 on that last lap as we go back on board with Todd Kelly and Stuart Eustace. Very, very cool shot. So Venturi Racing's definitely still out there. I'm not too sure what's happened to Team Australia. Can't quite see from where I'm standing. Just jumped off mic to grab Ben Embleton, who's got to go out and do the Sports 65 race. Ben commentated with me a couple of years ago. So it was Team Australia. Thank you, Ben. It was Team Australia. It almost sounded like they just shut straight down and they've parked up. So that's just to the left of us if they haven't made it back into the marina. So it was Team Australia that had a drama. I just heard this weird sound out to the left of us, which was sort of around the corner where the boats come out of Empire Marina, and they definitely haven't come back past us. So issues for Team Australia 2 out there on the race course. Mojo continues on. It is a cool looking race boat, and that is a great name for a race boat. Again, another spectacularly presented team. Not too many better than this Boost Mobile boat, though, around the world. Former US champs. There was some big news out of the US overnight, actually. I jumped onto Facebook last night, and the new owner of the IHRA Drag Racing Association over in the US has purchased P1 and one of the other championships in the US to get everyone combined over there and running under the same umbrella. So this is the same guy that ran 244 miles an hour with Steve Curtis and the old Spirit of Qatar jet turbine boat at 244 mile an hour a couple of months ago in the US. So that was some pretty big news. I had a quick chat to Darren Nicholson about it this morning, and he said, look, it's not really going to change anything with what we're doing up there, but looking forward to getting up to Key West and getting the other boat and taking it to the Americans over there. Just trying to see who that is through the spray. We're back on board with Boost. So they've just gone past us here at Marmong Point, making their run around the B and C marks. Got one of the Super Cat outboard boats just to their inside. Should come into shot very, very shortly. And it is. It was TCR. So just putting a lap on TCR. So for the Super Cat outboards, it's currently the Sting, Kess Racing, TCR and DLR Offshore. Team Australia has dropped to the bottom. They are stopped. They are parked up, but down here towards the marina. So Boost Mobile leads overall from Hornet Racing, Mojo, Venturi Offshore, the Sting, Kess Racing, TCR and DLR Offshore. Race time, we're just past halfway. We're 16 minutes into this one, so just under 14 minutes left to go. Boost Mobile doing it pretty easily. So back on board with Boost as they just across the front of E-Mark and that little run down to F right in front of Warners Bay. They were setting up marquees and food trucks there this morning. There was a heap of people on the waterfront getting ready for today's action, which is arguably the bigger of the 2 days with the 2 Superboat races and the conclusion of our opening round of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships here at Lake Macquarie. It is a stunning venue, absolutely stunning venue. So Venturi just going through the familiar Team 3 colours, the former Victory Team Racing boat out of the World Championships. So it's been upgraded with the 565 Moo Cruisers instead of the 525s it previously ran. Anthony DeFina and Matt Kelly, former Australian champions in their old boat Saracen, which then became the Mantis, which at the time was to take on the Sting. So they look to have got over their water pressure problems, because the boat is continuing on. So what happened when it stopped over that side of the track yesterday? It actually split a water hose on the starboard engine. So they managed to get one and borrow one off the Hornet team, who had at least one spare 525 sitting in the truck. But this morning they were chasing water pressure problems, so they were taking restrictors out of the water system to try and make that a little bit easier and lessen the risk of blowing any more hoses. Oh, that's a great shot of Boost, low on the water, just making that run. Where are they on the course? So that's just made the run out of B and C. That is a very, very cool shot. Boost Mobile leading this race with just under 12 minutes left to go. There's Team Australia, so they're actually being towed. So that was down towards Spears. And have we got some dramas for Mojo? We have Mojo. On board with Mojo. They're parked up out off C and B mark. That's Stuart Eustace to the right. So Todd Kelly's out of the boat at the rear of the boat, just having a look at something right now here from the foreshore. So Mojo has parked up. Now, was that a thumbs up from Todd? That might be just a restart. Todd's getting back in the cockpit. So what's happened there for Mojo? Mojo. So let's see if they get it back up and running, or potentially it's terminal. They're having a chat there at the moment. So Todd went to the back of the boat. Venturi's just come past here at race control. So that'll put them up into third position very, very shortly as they go by Mojo.
Yeah. You can shut that off again.
So Todd and Stuart are having a chat, just trying to figure out what's going on. Whether they've lost power or drive, I'm not too sure.
I don't have my earpiece in. If you can hear me, we've
a little bit of glare on the screen. I think Todd's on the radio. Potentially to Russell in race control. So it looks like game over for Mojo in race number 2. So that'll bring Venturi Racing up into the third position. As the Sting's about to go down a lap to boost. Supercat outboard leader, Supercat extreme leader. Talking to Carl and Mike from the Sting yesterday or this morning, they were sort of seeing speeds around the 115 mark. So the Blend TV guys just grabbed me and have just, I think Mojo may have broken a prop. Either broken a prop or thrown a prop because they were just on the onboard and race radio. That's possibly what's going on there. So hopefully, if that's the case, it hasn't done too much damage. Otherwise, we had something similar happen here 2 years ago with Boost Mobile with Darren Nicholson and Peter McGrath was in the boat and they actually broke a blade. And the blade come out of the water behind the boat and actually took a big chunk out of the stern of the boat as it went by. So if you lose drive in one of these things, it's game over. You can't run around on one engine. They're designed to run on two with all the trim and everything, and obviously with the CAT configuration with the hulls. So Mojo will be going no further in this one. They will be getting towed in. One of the rescue boats is already rescue boats is already over with them, so they'll get that boat towed in before the start of the next race, which will be race number 3 for Sports 65 and Sports 85. And there's a fair amount to talk about after yesterday's 2 races. There were a few penalties, jump starts, exceeding speed, missing buoys. Yeah, there was a lot going on with yesterday's race. So Kess Racing on debut this weekend. This is a former championship winning boat, now at the hands of Steve Lancaster and Scott Kelly. They're still within touch of the Sting. The Sting's only about 4 to 5 seconds up the course ahead of them. So 2 different hulls, but the same engine combinations with the V8 Mercury's 300s on the back of these 2 boats. So the Kess Racing with a really good run here. TCR will still be third as we go back on board with Boost. Right past us at race control. So that yellow mark that just went by, that's the A mark before the checkered flag and the start line, which is a little bit further up. So the orange boys the boys went past are the start line. So that's looking back towards us at Empire Marina, and there's a fair amount of traffic on this front side of the course. As the Sting comes past us now, Kess Racing comes past us now. Here comes the Hornet. Hornet Racing in second overall. Proving that a slightly less horsepowered boat and smaller boat is more than competitive here in Offshore in these conditions. That wind state's just died down a little bit from earlier on this morning, probably about 20 minutes ago. We've got 6.5 minutes left to go in this race, so probably 2-3 laps. One of the funny things yesterday was how Darren Nicholson timed the run to the checkered flag, because the checkered nearly didn't come up. He literally was 1 second before the line, before the 30 minutes came up. So couldn't have timed it any better, but Russell in race control was sweating on it big time, and I thought that might be the case because the checkered flag went up very, very late as they were disputing whether or not they were actually going to throw it, because he crossed the line right on the half an hour mark within the second. So probably 2, maybe 3 laps left to go here for race number 2 of the weekend, race 1 here this morning. The First round of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships. Kess Racing, these guys have done an awesome job right throughout the weekend. We know this boat's fast. It's won an Australian Championship. So Hornet just rounds up Kess Racing. So Hornet's chasing down Boost Mobile. We lost Team Australia too with an issue with a boat. I don't know, it almost sounded like it jumped out of gear or something, because it either revved or something. There was a noise down to the left of me that I heard that sounded really unusual, and the people down to my left on the foreshore here actually ducked their heads around the corner in the pine trees here that are down to the left-hand side of us to see what had gone on, because something definitely weird had happened. So the Sting continues on. Their last lap was I think a 2:54. Kess Racing actually took 4 or 5 seconds out of them on that last lap. So the Sting just going around the B and C marks. So there's actually 2 marks down there. There's the second one there as the Hornet goes past. So the Hornet in second. In fact, no, that was H&I. I'm at the wrong end of the course. So the Sting and the Hornet, followed by Kess Racing. Sting Racing still leading Kess in Supercat outboard. So that was down at H&I, down at Spears Point. Just got a little bit disorientated there. Trust me, it happens a lot. So Hornet looking to the outside of the Sting, this time down to B and C. There's the first one. There's the second one. Hornet Racing with a big, wide arc to the outside. Not a huge speed difference between these two. So if the Sting boys are running at 115, the Hornet's probably in that 119 to 120 territory. 600 horsepower versus 1,050. But the Hornet will weigh a lot more than the Sting outboard boat. What do we got? Just over 3 minutes left to go. Boost Mobile about to put down third place Venturi a lap. So a couple more laps if that. So one more time by and then the finish for Boost Mobile. Darren Nicholson, Steve Jellick. Darren on the wheel, the very experienced Steve Jellick on the throttles. He's throttled on Team 3. He's throttled with Maritimo. He's throttled with Superbad. A lot of teams on both sides of the Tasman, more so here in Australia for the expat Kiwi. You know when Steve and I are in town because we just walk up to each other and go, cuz. Alright, on board with Boost. Completes another lap. 2:32. 2 minutes 32 for that last lap. And we are down to within about 2 minutes. So we should see the checkered flag next time by for Boost Mobile. Absolutely stunning conditions here at Lake Macquarie. So if you don't know where Lake Macquarie is in New South Wales, we're about 25 minutes slightly south and inland from Newcastle. A couple of hours comfortably from Sydney. From me, from Brisbane, it's probably 10 to 12 hours if I was driving. Definitely not driving back. I'm flying back this afternoon. Straight back to work tomorrow. So the Hornet, the Sting, and Kess Racing go through. These 4-stroke V8s are really different sounding boats. I'm so used to the 300 XS 2-stroke engines over many, many years. I'm still trying to get my head around how quiet these 300 4-strokes are, but they are fast, super, super fast. Not too sure where... Oh yeah, Mojo's ended up on the back of one of the rescue boats and towing through the centre of the course at the moment. So Boost Mobile back on board. Their final run past Warners Bay for race number 2. There's going to be a little bit of work to do for a few of the teams back in the marina to get the boats turned around in a couple of hours for race number 2 a little bit later on. So Boost Mobile makes the final turn off the F mark, off Warners Bay, heading back down towards us around the top of Spears Point. Just like yesterday, going to queue, dominating, doing it pretty easily. I'm sure Muddy and Sue will be looking on up there on the Gold Coast watching our coverage. Hey guys, we're missing ya. Stevie J's doing not a bad job, Muddy, I've got to say. And he's sort of got that, he's not smiling a lot this weekend, so it sort of reminds me of you. You know I mean that in the nicest way. So we should have, I think, the checkered flag. Checkered flag out for Boost Mobile. They take out race 2, marking the 222 team back to the marina. They'll throw some fuel at it, and that'll be about it. No major changes from the first race yesterday. Just watching the Sting now come down towards the line. Venturi crosses the line now. They will be 3rd overall in Extreme. I think they've got a little bit of work to do still. We're just chasing some water pressure issues with that boat. Hornet comes across the line, so they'll be 2nd. They were about to lap Venturi Offshore. So Hornet Racing, fantastic effort for 2nd place overall for them. Taking advantage of Mojo with what we believe is either a broken prop or they've lost a prop. Don't ask me how much those props are worth, but they are worth lots. The Sting crosses the line for victory in Superboat Outboard. 2 wins from 2 starts like Boost Mobile, but not too far behind them was Kess Racing. They crossed the line now, and that was within probably 8 to 10 seconds, if that, at the line. So Sting 2 for 2, Kess Racing, 2 2nd place finishes for them. And that wasn't, they weren't too far away from the Sting that time. In 3rd, just making their way around through Spears Point, will be TCR Offshore, Scott Richardson and Stephen Kelly. So in about 20 minutes' time, we've got our Sports 65 and Sports 85 classes coming out for their 3rd and final race of the weekend. These guys with a fairly tight turnaround to get the boats ready for the 2nd race today, the 3rd and final race of the weekend. TCR Racing come across the line, 3rd overall in Supercat Outboard, and they will finish 6th. Out of all of the Superboats. Who else we got left out there on the water? I think it's just DLR Offshore, and they are just coming off the H&I mark now, heading towards us here at Race Control and the checkered flag. So DLR Offshore with 2 finishes from 2 starts, and they will pick up 4th overall in Supercat Outboard and 7th overall across the Superboat category for race number 2 here at Lake Macquarie. So Mojo's getting towed in. If they have broken a prop or lost a prop, hopefully it hasn't done too much other damage at the back of the boat. Team Australia, I'm not 100% sure what happened to them, but there was definitely a weird noise. Something happened just around the corner from us when it shut down, and I don't know if it's jumped out of gear or something. It was just didn't sound right, and they definitely got towed back into the marina regardless. So a couple of little issues out there for that one. Stuart and Todd getting towed back in there with the Mojo boat. So as I said, from the onboards from the Blend TV boys, they thought they heard that it was a prop issue. So they'll get towed in. We've got our 65 and 85 mile an hour boats coming out very, very shortly for their 3rd and final race. Hope you're enjoying the action here from Lake Macquarie. Thanks to the team from Blendline TV. The coverage, if anyone else wants to watch, send them a text, send them a Facebook message. Blendline TV YouTube channel, Blendline TV Facebook page, and Offshore Powerboats, Offshore Superboat Australia Facebook page as well. Right, I'm going to take a little bit of a breather, get some water on board, and we'll be back with more very, very shortly. Give me a couple of minutes.
Here at Empire Marina in Marmong Point, Lake Macquarie. We've got the Lake Mac Action Fest, and the staple of the weekend is the Superboats. So everyone's ecstatic, excited to see them roaring around Lake Macquarie once again. The Superboats weekend has been a staple, a part of our calendar for many years, and the residents love it, the tourists love it, so it brings a lot of economic opportunity for the city, and as the Mayor, excited to put it forward and make sure that it's a rip-roaring success. I've drawn the lucky straw of going for a run in one of the superboats, so lifelong dream of most people, mine included, so can't wait to get out and about on Lake Macquarie. Phenomenal experience to be racing across Lake Macquarie in a superboat. A boyhood dream just came true. So I think we got up to about 80 miles an hour, so I think it was just cruising in terms of its capacity. But yeah, definitely a thrill for a novice like myself as the local mayor of Lake Macquarie. Having the superboats here, it really is becoming a staple of the Lake Macquarie Action Fest. We've got the superboats, we've got the power boats, we've got the local Morissette Lake Macquarie show. We've got the Let's Surf competition, and of course we've got the Fernley 15. But yeah, the real staple of the weekend has been the superboats and the power boats, and looking forward to people coming out and supporting it once again this year in 2025.
So I'm down here in the pit area after race number 1 for Supercat Extreme and Supercat Outboard. Problems for Venturi Offshore, that was the problem. On the right-hand side engine, they actually had one of the water hoses split, so they're frantically running around trying to come up with a repair to either jury-rig it or find a replacement. I'm not too sure if they're the same as the 525s, because this boat now runs the 565 Mercuries is in it, but the team are frantically working overtime to try and get that sorted out for races 2 and 3. If you have a look over my right shoulder to Team Acme, they're throwing some brand new fresh fuel in that boat. They're thinking they might have some contaminated fuel. They did a gear set change before race number 1. It got up onto the plane. They were sort of seeing speeds of 116, 117 miles an hour, but they still had some problems going on through the boat. So they've got past that now where they can get it up on the plane and get it running, but it's still not quite happy. So they've pulled all of the old fuel out of the boat. They're putting brand new fresh fuel in the boat, amongst a couple of other changes. So hopefully we should have Acme back on the water tomorrow morning. So for me here at Lake Macquarie for race number 1, I've got to say the player of the day, Stuart Eustace, absolutely outstanding job in Mojo, paired with Todd Kelly. Now, for you, how did that go? Because it's your first time in race conditions in the boat.
Yeah, it was a whole lot of fun, thanks. Loved it. It took a lot of instruction from Todd. He's pretty lippy on the microphone. Gives you a lot, go faster, turn left harder. It's all, loved it.
The last time the boat raced, Todd was on the wheel. Steve Jellick, who's very, very experienced with offshore racing, he was on the throttles. So Todd's on the throttles for the first time. You're on the wheel for the first time as a new combination. And you're on the podium here at Lake Macquarie. Mate, I've got to say, it's an outstanding effort.
Thank you. You get lucky sometimes. That's all I can say. It was just a lot of fun.
You've got the first one out of the way now, so nerves-wise, things have sort of settled down a little bit, because I spoke to you off camera and your background is circuit racing, obviously like Todd's. What made you get into running one of these things? Because you couldn't get more different if you tried from a circuit race car to a 1600 horsepower offshore powerboat.
Yeah, there's no real good story to that. Circuit racing, I still enjoy it. I like it. Needed some time away from it to, get my enthusiasm back. Maybe we just call this a wedge, something in between. But, still want to go fast and do stuff. And Todd mentioned, let's look at race boats. And, we went big.
The other question I had, the name on the boat, Mojo, there's a little bit of a story behind that.
Yeah, I don't know the full story, but all of their ski race boats for the Kelly family have been Mojo. So we just continue the name here, and this one's an offshore version. I'm sure they'll get back into the ski racing ones. Yeah.
Well done, mate, and good luck for races 2 and 3 tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah, we're really looking at giving a real nudge. We backed off a fair bit there when we didn't need to chase them down. So we're looking at giving it a real nudge in the first couple of laps tomorrow.
No. So off the back of that last race, Jamie on talkback, Jamie on talkback. Check 1, 2, Jamie on talkback. Check 1, 2, Jamie on talk. Yeah, you're pretty faint if you want to turn yourself up in my ears. You want me to jump on? Copy, that's good. You want me to start talking? All right, folks, welcome back to Lake Macquarie. Some of the highlights and some of what's been going on over the weekend here, the opening round of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championship. So off the back of that one, so I've just heard a little whisper that Team Australia potentially lost an engine. So that was the reason why they pulled off, and I thought I'd heard something odd going on down to the left of us. And unofficially from the onboards that we heard, I just overheard that with Todd Kelly, Stuart Eustace and Mojo, they've either broken a prop or lost a prop, because Todd was definitely down the back of the boat checking out what was going on. So if it's either one of those, hopefully it shouldn't be too much of a drama. In the meantime, we have our final race of the weekend for Sports 65 and Sports 85. Now, if you were watching the live stream coverage yesterday, we saw some fantastic racing. However, I did say the results would be provisional based on the teams sending in their GPS details to race control over both races. That aside, there were also a couple of jump starts. There was a couple of missing mark turns. The buoy markers getting going the wrong side of them, as the 65s and 85s are just heading away on their formation sighting parade lap. So from yesterday, first race in 85 mile per hour was won by TR Racing. They were penalised, I believe, for exceeding the 85 miles per hour with that one, or that was a marker that they missed as well. So that put the Colonel up into the win with Skater 28 in second. So one of these results might be slightly incorrect, but I just haven't had the updated ones this morning. There was one, but go with this in the meantime. It's not going to make too many major changes. So 85 mile an hour race 1 was the Colonel, Skater 28 TR Racing. 65 mile an hour race 1 was Power Marine, Cardiac Arrest, and the Con. Now, All Coast Marine Aaron Jackson was penalised for exceeding the speed limit, so he copped a penalty. In fact, I think it was a DQ, because that dropped him right out of the order. Might have been just a penalty, but anyway, he wasn't in the top 3. For the second race, FR Racing copped a 1 lap penalty for jumping the start, so that dropped them back. So that had Skater 28 with the win from Colonel, and Watersports Marine in third in that one, the 36 boat. And for 65 mile an hour, Power Marine with 2 wins in a row from Cardiac Arrest, and Allcon taking out that one in third. So again, Aaron Jackson copped a penalty for that one with, I think, the speed. So with the speed classes, 65 mile and 85 mile an hour. If you exceed either speed by half a mile an hour, it's a 30-second penalty. If you exceed it by 0.99, it's 1 minute, and there were a couple of those assessed yesterday. And if you go to 86 mile an hour, you're done. You get DQ'd. So there's going to be a lot more management going on here this afternoon now with this race, as we've just ticked past 12 o'clock, to make sure you don't exceed your allotted speed limits for these speed-restricted classes. Now, just as I'm saying that, that wind speed has picked up quite dramatically in the last couple of minutes. So we've got a little bit more wind. Still, it's probably northeast, sort of coming down from Spears Point to the left of us, which is in the northerly direction. So that wind state has definitely picked up in the last 5 or so minutes. So who will be missing in this one? So Colonel Racing is missing because Harry Backer's got back into Nutcase. Antonio Fazzolari, we saw Nutcase yesterday and I accidentally called it a coup de craft. Sorry boys, it's a razor craft. But unfortunately Antonio had a big chine walk here in front of us. The whole foreshore went, whoa, as he was trying to gather it back up. And I asked Harry and Antonio what went on. Usually that boat runs with 2 up and a full load of fuel. So they were very, very light, which made it, as we saw, very, very hard to handle. And Antonio more than had his hands full. So Harry's actually got back behind the wheel of the boat today. So the big green and black razor craft, Nutcase. So Harry Backer, who was in Colonel Racing with the Kelly boys yesterday, the Colonel unfortunately will not make the start. Literally they've got no one left to drive the thing because the Kelly boys are all across Superboats and all sorts of going things. So we've got Skater 28, TR Racing back. So Mark the Russian, he will be back in his own coup de craft for the second round of the championship, and Ian Tricker. So Ian hasn't done a lot of circuit racing before. Ski boat racer, of course. That is a outright ski boat with 1,800 horsepower potentially in the back of the Force 21. So hasn't actually circuit raced before. So there were a couple of little issues going on there. So I think there was a penalty for exceeding the speed. There was also a penalty in race 2 for jumping the start. So definitely jumped the start. I think in the commentary I said that just out pure acceleration. But where he did his start with the 2 checkered flag markers in front of us instead of the 2 orange ones about 50 metres further down the course, which is where you're supposed to start from. So he was a little bit early on it and got a penalty for a jump start, which is a whole lap. So look for them to be a little bit better in this one. Thunderstruck, I don't know if Thunderstruck's made it back out there. They were a DNS for the race 2 and Water Sports Marine. And then going back to Sports 65, we've got Cardiac Arrest, 1038 Offshore. They had a prop nut spin-off yesterday, which was the reason for their DNF, in race 2. Nutcase, the Razor Craft with Antonio Fazzolari and Harry Backer. Harry's driving that one in this one. The Con, Valentis copped some penalties yesterday as well. Deegan, if they've made it back out there, they were a did not start in race 2. Power Marine, now they're 2 for 2 in Sports 65, which is the White Force F19X, Patrick Benici, with the Yamaha 200 4-stroke, and All Coast Marine back out there, Aaron Jackson in the 450 Yamaha. He was all excited yesterday. My mum was actually talking to his wife, and it was his first ever win in Australian Offshore for race 1 yesterday morning, but unfortunately had copped a penalty overnight and dropped it right back. So you can hear in the effects mic there with the camera position over there just before Spears Point. 1,800 horsepower of inboard Mercruiser quad cam V8 twin turbo FR Racing. So I think we've got 3 by the looks of it. So potentially no Thunderstruck, and we know we don't have Colonel Racing, so we'll have Skater 28, which is that blue and white boat, Water Sports Marine over in the background with the grey and chrome, and TR Racing, the black and blue F21 Force with the just stupidly horsepowered. So they're 1550 horsepower standard, but you can get some upgrades and some Motec upgrades for it that take it out to 1800. So this boat's capable of 120 plus miles an hour, 120 restricted with ski boat racing with 2 single skiers behind it. at 120 miles an hour, which is just insane. So let's see if they get the race start this time. I know at the driver's briefing this morning, the starts were gone over again very, very clearly and sternly from Russell Embleton, our race director. So our pole boat will be skater 28, Watersports Marine in the centre, and TR Racing closest to the shore, and the big Mercury Racing with the mad Russian, Mark the Russian, sitting alongside in that ski position. Although he reckons he's going to try and look forward this time. A second pair of eyes might avoid them going to the wrong marks. Sports 65, still a very, very good entry for them with a mixture of ski boats, family boats and fishing boats. And yes, Aaron Jackson is standing in the family fishing boat with a big 450 horsepower Yamaha on the back of it. So he crossed the line first, but was unfortunately penalised in race number 1. So let's see what the Sports 65, Supersports 65s can do in this one, as that's a good-looking start. And they head down towards the B&C mark for race number 3. You can see the green light is on, and we are underway. So 3 boats in the Supersport 85s, 85 mile an hour. So this boat crossed the line first twice yesterday, but was penalised definitely in the second one for a jump start, which was a whole lap penalty, and probably jumped the start by a good 50 or 60 metres. So out of that, Colonel Racing and Skater 28 were first and second in race 1, and Skater and Colonel were first and second in race 2. TR Racing was still enough for third overall in the first race yesterday. So Skater 28, Aaron and Jack Panozza. TR Racing just to their outside. And the number 36 of Watersports Marine will be just off the back of these two. Another one of the 450 horsepower 4-stroke Mercury outboards. So these boats are limited to 85 miles an hour. They are not supposed to exceed 85 miles an hour. So 84 something would be the golden number to try and work with. And with the Supersport 65 class, obviously that speed is 65 miles per hour. So you've got the big inboard twin turbocharged quad cam Mercruiser, the back of this boat. Not too sure what drives on the back of it, but it'll be along the lines of a Mercruiser 6 stern drive. Very similar configuration to the Hornet Racing Superboat Extreme. So they've dropped off Watersports Marine already. Ski boat just able to take that sharper turn a lot faster than the big skater in behind, but the skater's not lacking for anything in a straight line. So lap number 1, TR Racing leads Supersport 85. I don't know if I can sit in the back of one of these boats backwards. I struggle to sit on a bus backwards without getting sick. Stuff doing that in an 85 mile an hour ski boat. Stuff doing it at 120 mile an hour, watching the skiers out the back. All right, Watersports Marine just coming through in front of us as they chase down. Go back to the Supersport 65 battle. And you would expect 72 to be up there, Power Marine, Patrick Benici, because he's won the first 2 races. Wasn't necessarily across the line in the first 2 races, but was one of the only drivers that didn't cop a penalty just about across the class. So Aaron Jackson will be looking to try and get back in the mix here. Copped a couple of penalties yesterday. So it'll be Power Marine with the race lead, and the Nutcase boys up into second. So Harry Backer in the Razor Craft. He's got Antonio Fazzolari sitting alongside of him. This time Antonio was driving yesterday by himself, so they've put 2 up back in the boat to get some weight back in the boat. Already looking a lot more comfortable. That's about here where it had a massive chime walk, and for a moment Antonio thought he was going to exit stage left and exit the boat. That's how vicious it was. Aaron Jackson in behind them in the big family fishing boat, the Formula. Then we go back to Cardiac Arrest, Valentis, and the Con, the last of our Supersports 65 boats going through. So there's a little bit more chop out there. That wind has definitely picked up in the last 5 or 10 minutes. Team 38 Offshore's just coming back in front of us now. They've just come off the A mark. Just in the back of that shot is Team 38 Offshore, Ben Embleton and Liam Sutherland. So they spun the prop nut off it yesterday, which managed to have no drive, which is not ideal in an outboard because that's what makes the boat go forward. So the Supersports 65s just working their way down the bottom of the course, B and C mark, down towards Bolton Point. So we're based here at Marmong Point at Empire Marina, which is a beautiful facility. And the only problem we've really had getting the boats in and out of the water with the crane is how congested it is in the pit area, but that's cool because we've got a lot of big boats. That's a good problem to have. Here's Aaron Jackson, 450 horsepower Yamaha, and I'd say that's a fairly fresh rig up because the back of the boat, you can just see behind the 111, which I did confirm this morning is definitely 3 pieces of race tape. The back of the boat is a different colour because it's been refiberglassed and regelled to change the mount to mount the big 450. So it's a Formula hull. Aaron is standing. It is the family fishing boat. Aaron's wife down there in the pits doing an awesome job. She's got a fleet of kids down there. So no, Aaron would have been a bit disappointed overnight because he thought he'd actually managed to catch his first ever win in Australian offshores. He's had some seconds and thirds, but unfortunately yesterday either went a little bit too quick or he's maybe missed a buoy. But I think it was, I think the penalty was for the fact that he'd gone a little bit too quick and broke out of that 65 mile an hour class speed for that class. So just ahead of him is the Nutcase boys having a much better run. So they got a little bit more weight on board, a little bit more fuel on board. Harry Backer's back behind the wheel. He was in the Colonel Racing boat yesterday, which managed to win the first race with some of the penalties applied. But basically they've just run out of pilots for that boat, so that's parked and Harry's jumped back into his Razorcraft. It's a pretty impressive setup when you see the boat get towed through town with the truck and trailer and everything. So the boys are looking pretty relaxed out there. That looks a lot more comfortable ride than it was yesterday, where Harry said, yeah, it just didn't have enough weight on it. We sort of threw Antonio to the lambs, basically, because, probably wasn't ideal. So they've gone back to how they normally do it, 2 up, a little bit more fuel on board. And the boat looks to be sitting a lot better and is currently second overall in the class with Supersports 65 mile an hour. You can just see that sea state here on the foreshore at Marmong Point. Definitely a little bit more of a chop than we saw earlier on. And as I say that, the wind's actually probably just died down a little bit more, but coming past us now, leading Supersport 65, Power Marine. Second place, Nutcase. I'm out the side of the boat, just cruising out for a Sunday morning ride. Aaron Jackson comes back past us in third. You can see Aaron because it's got the sunshade frame over the top of him, and he's standing in the boat. Second boat in the shot. Then we go back to Cardiac Arrest and Valentis. They're side by side. There's Aaron Jackson going through in All Coast Marine. And just in behind these two is the Con, boat number 80. Brendan Weeks and Sophie Lancaster with the 3.2 litre Merc 2-stroke. Then Team 38 Offshore. And our leader just about to go by Team 38 Offshore. Crosses the line again, leading Supersport 85. Last lap for TR Racing. 2:57. Cool to hear the 300 two-strokes on the back of Skater 28. 300 XS two-stroke engines. That's what I'm used to hearing on the back of a Cat 600 outboard. So TR Racing heading up towards the BNC mark. Just around the outside of some of our spectator boats around the course. Pretty much ideal conditions. A little bit warmer than we had here yesterday. The afternoon forecast was out to 26 degrees. I think we were at 21 yesterday. Similar conditions to what we ended the day with. It was a little bit cloudier here yesterday morning before the first race started at 12. This morning was just clear blue skies and just about perfect. It was a mirror pond out there. It was very, very flat. There was no wind earlier on this morning. TR's just clearing some of the smaller Supersports 65 class boats. That was the Con. They just went past, carrying an extra 20 miles an hour at least. So yeah, we've certainly been spoilt with the weather this weekend. We had a big storm roll through here on Friday night, just as we were doing the meet and greet, and all the corporates were getting together down there in the Empire Marina pit area. Some of the biggest bolts of lightning I've seen for a long, long time. It was a little bit messy up there, but it didn't last very long, so that was cool. Yesterday morning it was a little bit cloudy and overcast, but turned out to be a beautiful sunny day, and we've got very, very similar conditions, albeit just probably a touch warmer than the conditions we saw yesterday, but nobody is going to complain about 26 degrees. So Aaron Jackson here's just got the hurry up. He's closing up on the nutcase boys. Very, very big, deep V-boat, this one. We talked about it briefly yesterday, and I talked about it again with a few people this morning. If you want to come and join Australia Offshore and race at your home event, whether it be in Melbourne or some of the other places that we're going to this year, if you've got a family boat, a ski boat, some of the ski boats certainly more than competitive across this lineup, across both categories. Even like a family boat, doesn't really matter. If you want to join the club and come and do some boat racing on a closed course circuit and witness some of the best offshore power boats on the planet, look us up on the Facebook page, Offshore Superboats Australia. Love to have you be a part of it, because as you can see here, we've got quite a diverse lineup across the Sports 85s and the Supersports 65 mile an hour class. So it's still Power Marine, Razorcraft, All Coast Marine. They're just going down a lap to TR Racing. We are 12 minutes in, so we got 18 minutes left to go in their final race here at Lake Macquarie. They'll get the boats back on the trailer and come back out and watch the big boys for their final race. I haven't had any updates from the pit area as yet as to whether or not Team Australia has lost an engine and exactly what Mojo need to do to get back onto the water. If they've just broken a prop or lost a prop, that shouldn't be too much of a drama. Hopefully it hasn't damaged the shaft doing it or something else under the back of the boat if it has come off, because as I said 2 years ago, we did see 222 Boost Mobile break a blade, and the blade come out of the water and actually tagged the back of the boat and took a big chunk out of the stern. It was, quite vicious. All right, 13 minutes in, so we've got 17 minutes left to go. We're not quite at the halfway point here for the final race for Sports 65 and Sports 85. We've got the drone over the top of, that looks to be Water Sports Marine. No, that might be actually... Just trying to see where the drone is. That might have been Team 38, actually. I've got the drone operator. What? I'm trying to find out what boat he was over the top of then. It was either Water Sports or Team 38 Offshore. It was one of the two. But these drone shots are cool. Love the earlier one with Boost Mobile, just before the start of our Superboat Race. So we got one more race this afternoon scheduled to start at 1 o'clock. Local time here at Lake Macquarie, we're at 22 past 12. And we're coming up towards the halfway mark in the Supersports 65 and Supersports 85 mile an hour race. And there's the Razorcraft boats, nutcase. So they're still in a battle there with Aaron Jackson in All Coast Marine, just coming off Warner Bay foreshore, and there's lots of people over there. Lots of marquees over there. They had markets there yesterday. I think they've got markets again there this morning, and they've got lots of food trailers and tents over there. So it's a great place to watch the event from, and there's so many vantage points. There's people parked up in cars around the different bays and the different points right around this race course. We've got a heap of people down here out the front of Empire Marina at Marmong Point. As we continue to watch the Razorcraft Nutcase boys having a much easier run than they did yesterday, with just our Antonio in the boat, and he more than had his hands full over the 2 races. TR Racing's just gone through past us. You can see how tight that H&I mark is off Spears Point. So just to the right of that shot is the marina there. You can see where all the big yachts and launches are parked up. That's Empire Marina itself. So that's pretty much off the end of Spears Point where they're making that run off H&I. First boat in that shot was the 72, leading Supersports 65, looking for 3 wins from 3 starts. Power Marine, Patrick Benici, but he's got someone sitting alongside him this time. Patrick was by himself, definitely for 1 race yesterday. I think he might have ended up with someone next to him for the 2nd race. They're being chased by Nutcase and Aaron Jackson. Aaron's just gone past us with a quick look over his shoulder to see what the gap back is to the next boat, which will be Valentis. Boat number 13. Patrick Hakwalski. Cardiac arrest going through, Charlie D'Oreo and Greg Walters. So they had a couple of podiums that they definitely gained from penalties yesterday. So they would have been pretty happy out of that, with 2nd in race 1 behind Power Marine, and actually 2nd in race 2 behind Power Marine as well. So Nutcase down at BNC, just around one of the spectator boats, might be one of the rescue boats parked down there as well. There's a couple of big boats out there on the race course enjoying the action out there. So we've got heaps of different ways of watching and listening. So we've got a little bit of a public PA system down here at Empire Marina, which comes out of the race control boat. We're also doing a localised FM broadcast, which I can't remember how much the range is, but we used it in New Zealand on the Wellington Harbour and some of the other races that we did, and actually worked pretty well. So it's just a little localised FM, 88.9 FM. So the cars sitting over there at Spears Point, parked up on the side of the road at the bay there, they should be able to listen if they've got it tuned into 88.9, if they knew to listen to 88.9. And of course with our live stream with the Blendline TV boys, having them along here for the first time, and they've done an awesome job. We're getting some great pictures on the race course throughout the weekend with the drones and the fixed camera positions around the course. We've even got one on one of the corporate boats out there in the centre of the course. In fact, I think there might be a couple out there on a couple of those bigger boats. So we're not lacking for anything, and gone are the days where I've stood down here on the waterfront with a handheld microphone, my own notes, counting off the laps by myself with no lap scoring, no pictures or anything, watching the boats go around and commentating a boat race. So I'm very, very spoiled here this weekend. So you still got Nutcase being chased down by Aaron Jackson. So both of these boats will be just on that sort of 84 mile an hour range in a straight line. So not too many gains. Both of those boats pretty similarly set up. They're still chasing down TR Racing, and if Mark and Ian have got the course right, first and foremost, they didn't quite get that right yesterday. They didn't jump the start that time by the looks of it, so they got away with that one. So do not want to exceed the speed limits for 65 and 85 is the other issue. So TR Racing looking for what would be their first actual race win. They've crossed the line first in the first 2 85 mile an hour races, but cop penalties for various things over the 2 races at the same time. So we are coming up to 19 minutes, about 11 minutes left to go in this last race for Supersports 65 and 85. I'm having as much fun watching the boys fly the drones down here in front of me. I'd be too scared the thing would end up in the water. Just doing a quick battery change. As we go back to... must be a second drone up now, because this is definitely a drone shot. Nutcase getting chased down by All Coast Marine. So the first boat in front of them is still Power Marine. Force F19X with the 200 4-stroke Yamaha on board. This is Skater 28, so they're second, still chasing down TR Racing. So Skater 28 just heading down towards Warners Bay now. So they're right along the foreshore. So TR just coming off onto the run out of G on the run down to... So they've probably got about 30 seconds over Skater 28 at the moment. So TR Racing's just on the approach to Spears Point now and down to H&I as Skater 28 are just making the run to G. So there'll be a right-hand turn for them and they head back towards Spears Point. Aaron and Jack Panozza. There's been a few of these boats racing in Australian offshore power boats for a long, long time. Sadly, we haven't got the Colonel out there for this one. But the Colonel's certainly been a mainstay in Australia powerboat racing for many, many years. So this is TR Racing going to the outside of Team 38 Offshore. Ben Embleton just going down a lap. What was Mark gesturing there? I didn't quite see that. I got a bit of glare on the TV screen. I hope that wasn't the bad finger. I don't think it was. Let's just say Mark the Russian was waving at Ben Embleton. Young Ben's a very, very young, nice young man. He helped me commentate here 2 years ago. But he's not a bad boat racer by the looks of it as well. But very, very well-spoken young man. And arguably probably do a better job at commentating than I can. And I did say to Dad Russell, why am I down here this weekend when Ben can do it? And he said, no, Ben's racing. Oh, cool. Not a problem. So TR Racing continues on. We are inside just about 8 minutes. So probably 3 more laps, maybe 3 more laps. TR's over there. On the run out of D on the approach to E, so heading over towards Warners Bay. There's a big group of boats just up ahead of them looking out on the race course, and we've still got this Supersports 65 battle between Power Marine, Nutcase and Aaron Jackson in the All Coast Marine Formula. A little bit of lap traffic in between them by the looks of it. In fact, that'll be Water Sports Marine and Supersport 85 actually about to put Power Marine down a lap. So Formula over there at Warners Bay. It was a loud night last night at the Warners Bay Hotel. They forgot to tell me there was a band playing on Saturday night. I don't know what time they finished, but it was late. Good band though, I'll give it to them. It was a good band. We were trying to sleep upstairs. All right, coming towards us now. So you got Water Sports Marine going by Power Marine. That's not for position because Water Sports Marine's running in the 85 class. Power Marine leading Supersport 65. Next boat to come into shot should be, no, it's not Nutcase. It's actually All Coast Marine. Where's Nutcase gone? Oh, the boys must have had an issue because Aaron Jackson's by himself and Valentis is up to third. So, where has Nutcase gone? Nutcase has dropped out of a podium for Supersport 65. Has not gone past us. Cardiac arrest. Will now be up to 4th in class. Pretty sure I didn't see Nutcase go past. There's Power Marine. I'm just watching out the back of the course. That's definitely TR Racing on the screen at the moment because Mark the Russian's facing backwards. Con's just come past us, so where potentially is Nutcase? Yeah, haven't seen Nutcase. So TR Racing with just over 5 minutes left to go. So probably another couple of laps and that will be it for Supersports 65 and 85. So I can definitely see Aaron Jackson over the back of the course as Team 38 Offshore goes here and passed in front of me at race control. TR Racing's just gone past Valentis there, so Valentis now running third in Supersports 65. So Nutcase has definitely stopped somewhere, or they've pulled into the pit area potentially. I can't, just scanning the race course to see if I can see anyone that's parked up in amongst the spectator boats or into the centre of the course, but I can't really sort of see anything that sticks out. So Nutcase is no more. The Razorcraft will be a DNF in race number 3 for Supersports 65. So we are at 25 minutes 40. Just over 4 minutes left to go. So I reckon one more lap after this one. As TR Racing's back over at Warners Bay. Force F21 sitting beautifully on the water. Oh, there's Razorcraft. Okay, so that is over at Warners. That's why I can't see it, because it's completely over the other side of the lake. So they've got one of the rescue crew team boats towing them. Boys got the helmets off, so they're not going any further. Thank you, God. Well spotted, Blendline. Daniel and the team. Thank you for picking that up. Yeah, that was completely over the other side of the lake. So I've actually got one of the corporate boats probably right in front of me, directly in line with where Nutcase is parked up on the other side of the lake over at Warners Bay. So I can hear the big TR Racing heading down towards H&I. This should just about be the last lap run. We're at 20, coming up 27 minutes. It'll be close. It'll be close. If they slow up a little bit, it shouldn't be a problem. But one more lap. Got Rescue 1 out there will be our checkered flag boat. I would say in one more lap's time. It's Power Marine's about to go down another lap to the Supersports 85 leader. Mark the Russian's got a little bit of animation going on the boat. I'm not too sure what he was doing as he went past me. We had both hands up in the air that time. So Aaron Jackson up into second now in Supersports 65. Still got Power Marine up ahead of him. That boat sits really, really nice on the water for a big, deep V. Valentis up into third. Boat 13. Patrick Kowalski. So this should be the last lap run home. We've got Rescue 1 heading over towards us to the outside of the course where the checkered flag boys are to swing the checkers. Should be next time by for TR Racing. And TR are just heading down. I couldn't quite see that. So we lost skater 28 as well. Okay. So where was that? So skater 28, there was a lot. Sorry Blendline, I've got glare on my screen. I can't be perfect. They were showing me skater 28, but it was so far away. So skater 28 stopped somewhere out in the course, and I just heard Daniel, the director, and Maria saying somewhere down near the marina. So that must be off to our left coming into the marina, because there's definitely no marina over at Warners Bay. All right, so we've lost Nutcase out of Supersports 65, and we've lost skater 28, the Penotzes, out of Supersports 85. So that will put Watersports Marine up into second behind TR. TR's coming off Warners Bay now, which should be for the final time. So we've lost a couple in this one. This is TR Racing on the screen. hopefully this time they haven't exceeded the speed limit, or they have not missed a marker buoy. So a couple of mistakes yesterday, plus a jump start, cost them some penalties. But I know it's a spectacular looking race boat when I have to go and take photos of the thing to send to people, because it is a serious piece of kit. 1,800 horsepower of twin turbo quad cam Mercruiser V8, 572 cubic inches. She's a big one. 572 cubic inches. And TR Racing with Mark the Russian and Ian Tricker is going to take the checkered flag. We're just on the 30-minute mark now, so he crosses the line about 7 seconds over 30 minutes. So he's timed that absolutely perfectly, meaning he doesn't have to do another lap. So hopefully they haven't exceeded any speeds. Gone the right way around the course this time. They didn't jump the start, so we'll take that one out of it. And they'll take the Supersports 85 win here for their third and final race of the weekend. And not too far behind them should be our Supersports 65 winner, Power Marine, boat number 72. Patrick Benici looking for his third win in 3 starts here this weekend at Lake Macquarie for the Supersports 65 class. Checkered flag out on our Rescue 1 boat right in front of race control. And it will be Patrick Benici and Power Marine, 3 wins from 3 starts. Great start to their championship at Supersports 65. And in second will be our stand-up guy, Aaron Jackson, All Coast Marine, the big Formula V. Takes second place overall. So had a couple issues yesterday, actually had a race win but got it taken off him for exceeding speed. Third will be Valentis, boat number 13. Patrick Kowalski. I'm terrible with some of those. So I've just got the boys in my ear saying that Skater 28 has broken an input shaft on one of the legs of the Mercury. Cardiac arrest, crosses the line. And that will be third in Supersports 65 behind Power Marine and All Coast Marine. So cardiac arrest, 3 podiums and 3 starts. Good end to their weekend as we go over the top of the con. Brendan Weeks and Sophie Lancaster. They come across the line now in front of race control. Who we got left out on the water? We should have Team 38 Offshore. I think Water Sports Marine. Have they come past? Are they still out there? Can't remember if Water Sports has come past us or not, but they were definitely second in Supersports 85 because there was only 2 left. So just a couple of boats left out there on the water to take the checkered flag. First of those will be, I think this is Water Sports. It is the 36 Water Sports Marine. So they'll take second in Supersports 85 and second overall. Another one of the combinations with a new 450 Merc 4-stroke. And our last boat to take the checkered flag should be Team 38 Offshore, which is a good comeback for Ben Embleton and Liam Sutherland because they had a prop nut spin-off yesterday and lost drive. So that should have been our last boat to come in. So Water Sports Marine taking second in Supersports 85. So in about 20 minutes, we've got our final race of the weekend coming out of the marina. I'm going to take a quick rundown there and just see if I can get some updates on Venturi. No, not Venturi. On Team Australia and Mojo to see if they're going to make it back out here. And if not, why not? Have I got time to do that? I'll figure that out in a minute anyway. So we'll go through the results for you, confirming provisional, pending GPS photos to race control. TR Racing in Supersports 85 over Water Sports Marine. And in Supersports 65, you got Power Marine, All Coast Marine, and Valentis 1, 2, and 3 Team 38 Offshore, I think, might have been a late DNF. Can't remember if they came across the line or not. They may still be out there on the racecourse somewhere, parked up potentially. So I'm not too sure if they got home or not. I think they might be parked up there off Spears Point. So Skater 28 with dramas. I think Team 38 might have been a late drama. But anyway, that's provisional results for our final race for Supersports 65 and Supersports 85. Third and final race for our Supercat Extremes and Supercat Outboards to come out very, very shortly. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to rush over to the pit area quickly and see if I can get some last-minute goss before we go back with our final over 30 minutes, race 3 for Supercat Extreme and Supercat Outboard. I will be back. So for me here at Lake Macquarie for race number 1, I've got to say the player of the day, Stuart Eustace, absolutely outstanding job in Mojo, paired with Todd Kelly. Now, for you, how did that go? Because it's your first time in race conditions in the boat.
Yeah, it was a whole lot of fun, thanks. Loved it. It took a lot of instruction from Todd. He's pretty lippy on the microphone. Gives you a lot, go faster, turn left harder. It's all, loved it.
The last time the boat raced, Todd was on the wheel. Steve Jellick, who's very, very experienced with offshore racing, he was on the throttles. So Todd's on the throttles for the first time. You're on the wheel for the first time as a new combination. And you're on the podium here at Lake Macquarie, mate. I've got to say, it's an outstanding effort.
Thank you. You get lucky sometimes. That's all I can say. It was just a lot of fun.
You've got the first one out of the way now. So nerves-wise, things have sort of settled down a little bit because I spoke to you off camera and your background is circuit racing, obviously like Todd's. What made you get into running one of these things? Because you couldn't get more different if you tried from a circuit race car to a 1600 horsepower offshore powerboat.
Yeah, there's no real good story to that. Circuit racing, I still enjoy it. I like it. Needed some time away from it to, get my enthusiasm back. Maybe we just call this a wedge, something in between. But, still want to go fast and do stuff. And Todd mentioned, let's look at race boats. And, we went big.
The other question I had, the name on the boat, Mojo, there's a little bit of a story behind that.
Yeah, I don't know the full story, but all of their ski race boats for the Kelly family have been Mojo. So we just continue the name here, and this one's an offshore version. I'm sure they'll get back into the ski racing ones. Yeah.
Well done, mate, and good luck for races 2 and 3 tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah, we're really looking at giving a real nudge. We backed off a fair bit there when we didn't need to chase them down. So we're looking at giving it a real nudge in the first couple of laps tomorrow.
Empire Marina in Marmong Point, Lake Macquarie. We've got the Lake Mac Action Fest, and the staple of the weekend is the Superboats. So everyone's ecstatic, excited to see them roaring around Lake Macquarie once again. The Superboats weekend has been a staple, a part of our calendar for many years, and the residents love it, the tourists love it, so it brings a lot of economic opportunity for the city, and as the Mayor, excited to put it forward and make sure that it's a rip-roaring success. I've drawn the lucky straw of going for a run in one of the Superboats, so lifelong dream of most people, mine included, so can't wait to get out and about on Lake Macquarie. Phenomenal experience to be racing across Lake Macquarie in a superboat. A boyhood dream just came true. So I think we got up to about 80 miles an hour, so I think it was just cruising in terms of its capacity. But yeah, definitely a thrill for a novice like myself as the local mayor of Lake Macquarie. Having the superboats here, it really is becoming a staple of the Lake Macquarie Action Fest. We've got the superboats, we've got the power boats, we've got the local Morisset Lake Macquarie show. We've got the Let's Surf competition, and of course we've got the Fernley 15. But yeah, the real staple of the weekend has been the superboats and the power boats, and looking forward to people coming out and supporting it once again this year in 2025.
Dinger. Jamie's back. Can I go back on? Sorry, can't hear you, Daniel. Cool, thank you. Okay, welcome back to Lake Macquarie. The big boys are on the water. Mojo is back, so that answers that first question. They broke a blade off a prop. All right, so what that does, if the rest of the prop's still intact, it sends a big vibration through that side of the boat. Obviously, they picked that up, so they're back out there. Prop change. I just quickly caught Stuart Eustace. I've just run back over to the pit area, which is about, I don't know, 700, 800 metres away and back, just to catch up with a couple of the teams to see what was happening. I grabbed Stuart Eustace quickly and said, "Hey, Stu, did you have a little moment at G early on in the race?" And he went, "What gave it away? The trail of brown water behind the boat." And I went, "So you did then?" And he went, "Yeah." So they definitely had a little bit of a sideways moment at G early on, which I saw here from the shore. He said, "Did you get it on the onboard?" And I said, "It'll be on the onboard. I don't think it made it to air on the live stream." So this is our rearward onboard shot from Boost Mobile with 2 wins and 2 starts. Now, there wasn't so much an element of panic, but there was a little bit going on in the Boost Mobile camp. Initially, when I asked Mark Culture what was going on, because they were in the back of the boat on the starboard engine, and there was some rags and tools and things. So there was a little bit of an ask about how much time there was left as well. I grabbed Steve Jalek and he said they just had a fitting, either a come loose or fail. I'm not 100% sure, but they were replacing that or doing that back up. So they're sorted. They should be fine. No real panic in there. And Mark's run a lot of race boats over a lot of years, and so Stevie Jalek. So Muddy, no need to panic. They'll be all right. What else? Venturi Racing. So we saw Venturi finish. I thought they were a little bit down on outright speed. They were down to about 70% on one of the engines. Now, it's not, I don't know if it was the starboard engine they popped the hose off yesterday or the other one, but they had an engine go into what they call guardian mode. So limp mode in a car, guardian mode. If the electronics detect something going on, it will basically put everything into limp mode and take all the power and that out of it. So they were battling with an engine on one side that was at 70%, the other engine at 100%, which really messes with your throttle positions and how you drive the boat. So they were definitely down on speed. There was a little bit of debate whether or not they come back out. I just passed Anthony DeFina in the pits quickly, and he said, no, we're going back out. We should be all right, but we're just not 100% sure what's going on. So they've been chasing a few things throughout the weekend with water pressure being too high. They split a water pipe yesterday as part of that. They've been trying to take water pressure out of it by taking restrictors out of the water system, etc., etc. But that sort of creates other problems in other parts of the race boat. If you've got too much water flow going through there, it affects other things. So, and Team Australia, Paul Fowles actually sent me a photo, but Paul just come over to me then. They're definitely a non-starter. They've had either an engine failure or a gear drive failure that has just destroyed everything in the drive system on one side of the boat. So it also broke a blade. Some of the other teams offered them a blade to replace it, but there was too much damage in the drop box, which is the main drive system of the engine for one side of the boat. So I said in commentary, I thought I heard something really weird go on down to the left of us before the marina entrance, and I was on the money because there was a big bang where there was a fair bit going on, and Paul said there was a massive vibration went through the boat, like he felt it go through there. So that was definitely an issue, and it wasn't just me. There were about 20 people down to my left that were peering forward over the foreshore here at Marmong Point, all thinking they'd heard something as well. I thought one of the boats had ended up in the rocks or something. It was that big a noise, but no, they just simply had a big driveline failure, possibly with an engine. So the Team Australia team have got a little bit of work to do before the next round of the championship, February 26 at Werribee. So we're on our parade lap for Super Cat Extreme and Super Cat Outboard. Boost Mobile with 2 wins from 2 starts. The Sting with 2 wins from 2 starts in Super Cat Outboard. So no Acme. Acme didn't start the previous race. They've been chasing all sorts of issues. They've been through the fuel system, ignition. They've changed gear sets. They got the boat up on the plane, but it just had no speed after that. So there was something not right in the system they weren't happy with, and they didn't want to be out there basically being a passenger and getting everyone else's way. So they pulled the pin at the start of race 2, and no Team Australia, obviously, with the damage they sustained that we just spoke about on behalf of Paul Fowles. So last race of the weekend here at Lake Macquarie. The sinister-looking Boost Mobile 222 Offshore Racing. Darren Nicholson, Steve Jellick. Just a little last-minute fitting change. I don't know if it was a water fitting or an oil fitting. So we're down to the 4 Superboat Extremes. Hornet with a second-place finish in the last run. That's a giant-killing performance from the 525 Mercs in the 34-foot skater, just over to the starboard side there off the back of Boost. We've got our Supercat 600 outboard boats just coming past us here at Race Control and behind what you can't see out the back of the Boost. So for all 4 Supercat outboard boats making the start. So we've got 4 and 4, 8 boats to finish out the weekend here at Lake Macquarie for what has been a fantastic weekend. We couldn't have asked for better weather if we tried. The wind state has just picked up a little bit again from the north. It's a little bit more gustier. People enjoying themselves down here on the foreshore. They've actually got their feet in the water off the rocks down here in front of me. DLR Offshore with 2 strong finishes for them. One of the older boats in the category, but Craig Dove and Lachlan Dove doing an awesome job. I think Lachlan's first time in the boat with his dad. One thing I'll always remember and never forget as being part of the Australian offshore community is the camaraderie down there in the pits. Some of the teams are having problems and the other teams are straight there at their doorstep offering parts and assistance and things like that. And to witness that firsthand, and I've seen it across jet sprint racing and even circuit racing and speedway. But the camaraderie down here amongst the offshore teams especially, they're a very, very tight-knit community and they do a very, very good job. I've got Andrew Searle. Actually, I'll jump Andrew on quickly. You're not allowed to swear, Andrew. I'm just going to throw a second commentator in, boys. I've got Andrew Searle in here with me. Andrew, you probably can't hear me on that one. Don't worry about it. They'll be able to hear you. What happened with Acme?
Mate, we got a small problem that we really don't know what it is, but it could be small, could be big, but it's one of those things that we just got to keep trying to find it, and we haven't found it today.
And you've tried everything. You've gone through the fuel system. You've taken all the old fuel out of the race boat. You've put fresh fuel in it. You've changed fuel filters. You've gone through the ignition. You've changed gear sets with the drive. So talking to you briefly and Tom Barry Cotter, it was more about getting the boat up onto the plane, which you weren't sort of able to do Friday. Then you got the boat back on the water after some changes on Saturday. You got it up on the plane, but under load, it just wouldn't get to a certain rev range to be able to free it up and get it going fast.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so there's something that we've missed somewhere, but we'll have to work hard now between now and February, and then we'll be out there again.
So you got till February to get the race boat ready, but what about the funny car? We're going to see you back on the straight line stuff?
That's January.
That's January. Geez, you're not busy at all, are you?
No.
And you got a business to run.
Yep. Yep. So don't often get to watch the race, so this will be a good.
Well, we've had some great pictures out of the Glenline TV boys. We've got live onboards. I think the Mojo boys, I know they had a DNF in the last one with the broken blade, but Todd Kelly and Stuart Eustace have been doing an awesome job. Yeah. Stuart's first time driving the boat, Todd's first time throttling the boat. And how about the Hornet guys? In a smaller capacity, shorter boat, but just proving that consistency, gets you results. And they've done an awesome job this weekend.
And in and out of the corners as well. So
yeah, no, they've been very, very good. And I think with that boat being a little bit lighter, and we know it's underpowered compared to the bigger Class 1 boats, but being lighter, it had some advantages on some of the tighter corners here at Lake Macquarie.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens now. But as the fuel loads come off now, so it's pretty good to see 4 boats. It's a shame there wasn't 5. There's shame there wasn't 6 or 7, but
Yeah, well, Team Australia's was pretty catastrophic by the sound of it. It's done the drop box and props, and I heard the bang to the left of us in that last race. So if you're happy to hang around for 10 minutes or so and carry on and watch us. So how much fuel would you be starting at the beginning of this race in your boat?
170 aside.
340 litres. Okay, so is that more about, it's not so much getting it to the end of the race, it's also about balancing and trimming the boat?
Correct, yeah. The first race, you're heavy because you've got 2 fuel loads on. But yeah, so the second race you'll find they'll be a lot quicker now.
Yeah, okay. What sort of... I've spoken to Steve Jellick. He keeps telling me 110 mile an hour.
120.
As we're going to the start. Yeah, Jelly was playing Jelly, but so I'm talking 120, 122.
So Todd told me he was doing 118. He was a bit short.
Yep.
So that's why the boost would have been in front of him. But let's just see what happens now, because this is it. This is the start.
All right, so Boost's got the pole.
Let's see who jumps and who doesn't.
Well, the last start was pretty clean.
Mojo's getting going.
The last start was pretty clean, and it was pretty clean down to the start line. So they're fanned out across Lake Macquarie here on the on the Marmong Point side of the lake. Looks all pretty clean there at the moment.
It's on now. Mojo's gone.
So Boost down to the inside. They had the pole run. Having won the previous 2 races, that should have put them off the pole. So Mojo on the outside. You called it, Andy. Andrew, it was a pretty good start on the outside for Mojo.
So Mojo will go around the outside, and then he'll cut across on the inside, and he should be on the inside of 222 by the time they do that.
So 222 with that inside line. They've got to hold their lines through till about now. So at the C mark.
So Mojo's going to come straight across.
Well, the Hornet boys have slipped up their inside. So, look, you had a former world champ and Australia champ to the inside and a total rookie on the outside with Stuart Eustace. And Stuart definitely had a slide at G-Mark in that second race here today through G-Mark. It had a big slide on. Mark Tolcher and I were standing here and we watched it live over the top of the TV screen. So that was a good, clean start, but Booster got the early advantage.
So you'll see now Mojo will start to walk away this time.
Well, they should do, but Hornet actually went by them in that first part. But you were saying that Todd thought they were a little bit down on straight line speed because with the 525s on board, the lighter Hornet skater, I've seen those boats in New Zealand at consistently, easily 120 mile an hour in flat water. Back on board with Boost Mobile. Thanks to Andrew Searle for coming in and joining us for this third and final race.
Mate.
And we look forward to seeing you back at, what's the second round at Werribee in Victoria?
Yes.
So where's that? I have no idea. Oh, okay. Wynnum, yep, okay. All right, now we're looking down the tunnel of Mojo with a big wide run. Hornet to their inside. Boost has already cleared them. Mojo's going to jump back into the water track, into that path set by Boost. So I saw it wasn't a little bit of panic, but there was a little bit of work going on the starboard side of Boost where they were either replacing a fitting,
Yep.
or I don't know if it was an oil or a water fitting, but they definitely had a little drama off the back of that second race. Muddy would have been on the phone telling them how to do it, I guarantee it.
Yep. So see how tight Hornet will cut in, and Mojo will have to do a lot of work. Hornet will actually probably come out of this in front.
Listen to this. It's 100 feet in front of us off the foreshore. Hornet with the jump. That tighter inside turn. Now, we talk about the differences across these two boats, Andrew. So Hornet has a pair of Mercruiser 6 drives out the back of the boat. So it's got two turning surfaces. Whereas your boat and the bigger extreme boats have that single rudder.
Yep.
So to turn that tight with that boat in these conditions, that's a pretty good effort first up.
Yep.
So very, very different configuration. So Boost with the lead as we watch Mojo. Geez, these boys have got some TV this weekend. All right, go back to Supercat outboard, and it is the Sting. Looking for 3 wins from 3 starts. Andrew's going to leave us. Hey, thank you, mate. Andrew's going to go and watch some boat racing. Thank you for Andrew to come up and have a little chat before off the race start. Thank you, Surly. His dad, Searle, was involved in offshore powerboat racing for a long, long time. I think the first time I came to Australia and watched the offshores off, what's the bay alongside the airport in Brisbane? Anyway, up there, Andrew was running the family skater. They had a big 50-foot skater that they were running at the time in Acme colours. So if you wonder what Acme is, it's a composites company up in Brisbane, up in Queensland, and they make all their own composite bodies for their race cars and other people. They're very, very good at what they do. So Andrew's got his hands full running one of these Supercats and an alcohol funny car. He's also got a door slammer up there as well. So thank you, Andrew, for joining us. All right, Carl Wall and Mike Ratcliffe in the Sting leading Supercat outboard. This is the battle that we've been pretty much watching all weekend between Hornet Racing and Mojo. Two pretty much brand new combinations. The Boost Mobile's got about 12 to 15 seconds on them at the moment. On board with Darren Nicholson and Boost. Darren's very, very aggressive on the turn. Gets it straightened up now and gets it back up on the plane. And the big Boost Mobile 222 Offshore Racing Cat smokes its way down the front straight. And we go up over the top of the Hornet. Oh, how good is that with the drone? Okay, we have a new best shot of the day. Oh, that is a perler. I love that shot. Keep doing that, drone boys. That rocks. That is awesome. That was cool. I could actually see the drone picking up speed and chasing down Hornet here on the front straight. It went zipping past us, doing about 115 plus. So Venturi sounds a bit stronger than it did earlier on. It sounded a little bit flat. So while they're a little bit down in course positions on the others, they are lapping. So they did finish third in the previous race, but they had an engine in Guardian mode during it. So Boost Mobile, your race leaders, heading out towards Warners Bay again, chased by Hornet Racing. Mojo, Stuart Eustace and Todd Kelly. The Sting's coming past us as the drone picks up the Sting. At about 115 miles an hour here on the front straight, past D-Mark on the run down to B. So the Sting Racing chased by Kess Racing, TCR Offshore. TCR's a little bit closer to them this time. the sound of extreme Supercats bellows around Lake Macquarie. So the leaders coming off Warners Bay. Supercat outboards just coming off B&C, heading towards that side of the course. So the drone now picks up DLR Offshore. Yeah, that's a cool shot. That is a very cool shot. DLR Offshore, Craig Dove and Lachlan Dove. So who's that through a wall of water? Oh, it's DLR still heading down to B&C. I've got Boost to my left coming across the line to complete another lap. That was a 2:28. I think the fastest we've seen so far this weekend has been a 2:27, there or thereabouts. So the gap to the Hornets about 15 seconds. Then a further probably 10 back to Mojo. So Mojo, so they broke a blade in the previous race. Here's Carl Wall and Mike Ratcliffe, and this thing still leading Supercat outboard. Just catching Mark Tolcher, who's crew chiefing for Boost Mobile. So yeah, they had an oil fitting. It was a little weak. They actually caught it just with the pre-race checks before they went out for the race. So it was an oil fitting to the oil cooler that was just showing a little weak. There wasn't a pool of oil in the back of the boat or anything. So it was just a pre-race check that the boys picked up on and got that done up before they got out for this race. So doing what they need to do at the moment as the Sting comes through to continue to lead from Kess Racing and Supercat outboard. Sting's had a fault this weekend like Boost Mobile. So the gap back to Kess Racing is about 10 seconds, and then it's probably 15 back to TCR Racing. They've just come across the line through in front of us now. So what are we? We are just over 9 minutes into this last 30-minute race of the opening round of the Australian Superboat Championships here at Lake Macquarie. Again, I've got to say a massive thank you on behalf of Australian Offshore to Empire Marina, Lake Macquarie Council, Hornet Property Service and Wilson Lift. The Wilson Lift boys have been doing an awesome job down there, and it's there's not too many better views than watching one of these big Supercats getting craned in and out of the water. Great shot there of the Sting. That's at about 115 miles an hour, so around the 185 kilometre an hour mark. Venturi marches on. Anthony DeFina and Matt Kelly, next Team 3 entry. This is a Victory hull. Formerly raced over in Europe at the World Championship stage with Team Victory. I think at one stage that boat used to be powered by BMWs when it was racing overseas. So they finished third in the previous race with an engine in Guardian mode, but looks to be relatively happy out there at the moment. It sounds pretty crisp. They've been managing water pressure issues throughout the week. It sounds crisp enough going past us that time, and they're not too far behind Mojo and Hornet. Mojo's losing time now to Hornet, and so the gap between Boost, Hornet and Mojo probably similar between the three. It's probably now out to about 20 seconds maybe between each boat, and Venturi is probably about 30-35 back off Mojo. Again, another fantastic shot. So that's off one of the boats down there on the race course. So heading off, we sort of head down towards Bolton Point at the BNC mark and then back across towards Warner's Bay. Back past us comes the Sting. Mike Ratcliffe and Carl Wall. 300 horsepower V8 Mercury outboards on the back, as does this boat, Kess Racing, Steve Lancaster and Scott Kelly. They've done an awesome job throughout the weekend. They've got closer and closer to the Sting each race. TCR Offshore, still in that third place overall. We've got DLR out there as well, still fourth place in Supercat outboard. But this is Kess Racing with the Mercury Racing stickers down the side of it. The former Saracen Mantis boat that won an Australian title at the hands of Anthony DeFina and Matt Kelly a couple of seasons ago. So exactly the same engine package as the boat they're chasing with the Sting. The 300 V8 Mercury 4-stroke outboards. So we're coming up to about 13 minutes. Approaching the halfway mark of this final race here at Lake Macquarie. Boost Mobile, 222 Offshore Racing, still your race leader from the Hornet Racing. Mojo. Venturi just coming past us now as the Stinger on the other side of the course just worked their way off Warner's Bay, heading towards the G mark. So this is a right-hander, little kink over on the northern side of the course. There's the G mark right there. So they're swinging around to the right and heading towards Spears Point now. There are some beautiful houses around Lake Macquarie, right on the water. Some spectacular views. It is a magnificent place. I said it in the previous race, this is definitely a part of the world where I reckon I could retire to later on in life. And if they have a boat race once a year, I'll be here every time. So TCR Offshore, third in Supercat outboard. Scotty Richardson and Stephen Kelly. Scott Richardson on the wheel, Kelly on the throttles. So we're back on board with the race leader. And that was Boost Mobile kicking up the big rooster tail. Who did they just clear? It was a boat to the outside. I couldn't quite see who it was. It might have been... Oh, it was TCR. It was TCR. So Boost Mobile go through. Doing it pretty comfortably. So you got the big 1600 horsepower Class 1 Extreme boat being chased by the 525 Mercruiser Packet at 1,050 horsepower with a 34-foot skater up against a big 40-footer. Boost Mobile at 12 metres. In fact, it's bigger than that. Oh, Mojo's just gone past us and it's dropped RPM. Just on screen now, it's definitely dropped RPM. So Todd had to get out of the throttles for some reason there, and it just definitely was down. And it's kicking up a pretty big wall of water behind the boat at the moment too. So have they got a drama? Stuart Eustace, Todd Kelly and Mojo, they were in third. They still are in third. They're down to B, but they're definitely slowing. Definitely slowing. So if they don't get back up and running, Venturi's going to go by them. So Mojo's definitely slowing. It lost power. It lost speed. I could hear the RPM down as it went past us here at Race Control. So Mojo, they broke a blade in the previous race at pretty much that part of the race course. So have they done something similar, or have they got another problem on board? So Mojo's slowing. So that'll put Venturi up into the third position. behind Boost and Hornet Racing. Well, that's disappointing for Stuart Eustace and Todd Kelly. They were one of my stars yesterday in race number 1 with a second place finish. But it's all Boost Mobile. How many times have we said that before? Darren Nicholson with Steve Jalek alongside this weekend. Money will be happy that the team picked up that oil fitting issue before the start of this race, because that could have been drama for them if they had gone out without seeing it. We've got 2 drones up in the air now. They're just taken off here on the waterfront, so I think one of our drones is going to pick up. So we're on board with Boost. I think one of the drones is going to try and pick up one of the boys going past. So Boost Mobile with the lead. Mojo with Dramas pulling to the centre of the course. Boost Mobile with the lead. A big advantage over Hornet Racing with Venturi now up into third. In Supercat outboard, it's the Sting chased by Kess Racing. TCR and DLR Offshore. So I think one of our drones is going to try and pick up the next big boy to come through, and it looks like it'll be Venturi as we watch the back of TCR Racing. So they're just coming off the B and C mark. Up ahead of them on the course are Kess and Boost and Hornet. Venturi just coming past us now. Up into the third position for Venturi Offshore. Mojo have definitely limped to the inside of the course, so they're going no further. We are 18 minutes 42 into this 30-minute finale here at Lake Macquarie. Boost Mobile doing it easily. Mark Tolcher's over here to my right with his fingers crossed. I'll be right. So Boost now about to put the leading Supercat outboard boat down a lap. Just picking him up at G. Mike and Carl are going to make it too easy, so Darren's going to go to the outside on a run down to Spears Point and H&I marks. So the Sting's got about probably 10 to 15 seconds back to Kess. Hornets, I reckon within probably 25 to 30 seconds of Boost at the moment. So there's the Sting racing to the inside, taking that narrower mark through H&I. Just up ahead of Boost will be DLR Offshore. They should pick up DLR. And we got the drone chasing down Boost. The drone's not fast enough. It can't keep up with the 120 mile an hour plus of Boost Mobile, but that was still a pretty cool shot. Back on board with Boost as the drone's going to try and pick up another one coming past. So that was Hornet and Kess running side by side. So Boost Mobile with 10 minutes left to go here. So probably at least 4 laps at least, as Boost is heading back out towards Warners Bay now. So there's a little suburb, they're just going past the headland of, it's spelled E-L-E-E-B-A-N-A, which for me is Elibana. I don't know how it's pronounced, but if I've got that wrong, I apologise. I'm a Kiwi. You Aussies got some weird place names over here. Mind you, you try saying Whangamomina over in New Zealand. So Boost Mobile, your race leader from Hornet Racing. Venturi Offshore. Does show Mojo in third, but Mojo's definitely out. So Mojo definitely out, just actually cruising back through the centre of the course. They might be limping on one engine maybe, because it definitely lost RPM as it went past us here at Race Control and commentary on the lap that he pulled out, that they pulled out. and to continue to lose speed as they got down to the B and C mark, where they stopped and pulled onto the inside of the course. So their race is definitely over. Looking for 3 wins from 3 starts, former Aussie champs, former world champs, 222 Offshore Racing, Boost Mobile. Darren Nicholson with the very experienced Steve Jallick alongside. Stevie J's been on the throttles of many boats here in Australia over the years. On the commentary stick for Bisho, and Jally is the throttle stick for Australian Offshore. If you need someone to jump in alongside you in a race boat, just call Steve. He'll jump in. He's been in alongside Todd Kelly in Mojo towards the end of last season in that boat. Todd was actually driving, and again Steve was on the throttles. Hornet Racing, these guys have been stars this weekend. Brand new race boat for Mick Kelly and Jason Kelly, the former Kua kids, Pro Floors 34-foot skater out of New Zealand. Won a New Zealand title with Wayne Felder with Pro Floors, and an Australian title. The boat came over here and won an Aussie Championship. Stunningly presented boat. Like, that is a superb wrap on that boat, and it looks way cool. Very, very cool. If you want some of the Australian Offshore merchandise, we've got t-shirts and caps that'll be down available in the pit area here at Empire Marina post-race. Just check out where we've got the presentations a little bit later on this afternoon from 3:30. That'll be in the marina later on this afternoon. Unfortunately, I won't be there. I'll be on a plane back to Brisbane, heading back to Newcastle Airport. I think these drone guys are having more fun than we are. They're all down here giggling amongst each other. They're doing an awesome job. We're getting some great shots. All right, what do we got? Coming up, 6 minutes left to go, so probably 3 more laps as TCR Offshore goes past us here. Venturi does the flyby over the start-finish line. Beautiful looking race boat. I visited Adam Gilbert in their shop on the Gold Coast when they were rigging that boat up when they first got it, and it was a pretty cool piece of kit. Previously raced in the Australian Championship. Steve Jallick's also been in this boat, running Mercury's of 525s, so they've been upgraded to the 565s, a little bit more torque over the 502 525s. But they've just been chasing a few issues so far this weekend with water pressure, and then having one of the engines go into what they call Guardian mode in the previous race. They still came across the line in third, so that was good points haul for them after their dramas on day one, where they split a water hose, temperature rose up on the starboard engine, and they pulled out of race number 1. This is Boost Mobile heading down towards us from front on. That's another cool shot. So Boost Mobile with, I reckon, 2 more laps left to go. See if Darren can time like he did race 1 by 1 second. Hornet Racing within 30 seconds. That's been a big performance from those guys this weekend. That's a brand new combination for them. For Hornet Racing, Mick Kelly and Jason Kelly. For me, that would, sorry Boost, but that's my best presented for the weekend. Nah, Boost's up there. Boost's up there. Mark's about to kick me. So Hornet Racing, second overall in Extreme. Venturi just coming off Warner's Bay as Hornet's heading over towards Warner's Bay. Hess Racing on screen. Just coming past us there at race control, you can see the Australian Offshore race control bus with Russell Embleton, our race director, sitting alongside. Running this race. So he's got all the radios. He's talking to all of the course boats, marker boats, dive boats, the maritime guys out there on the race course, and the race teams. So he'll be aware of probably what's going on with Todd Kelly and Stuart Eustace. They would have been on the radio to say that they were retiring to the inside of the course. So Kess Racing, these guys have done an awesome job as well. So they're probably within about 15 seconds of the Sting. They were a little bit closer in race number 2. These new Mercury V8 300 outboard, 4-stroke outboards, doing a very, very good job here this weekend with first and second right throughout the weekend. So time-wise, we're at 20, just coming up 27 minutes. So possibly another lap after this one. So maybe 2 more laps still left to go. Looking at the lap times, Boost Mobile again. So the last 4 laps have been 2:26, 2:32, 2:29, 2:29. This lap's going to be 2:30. So they're just cruising. So we're at 27:23. We're going to be pretty close to the checkered flag on the next lap, I reckon. If Darren and Stevie can time it, it will be close. Hornet go through, they're about 30 seconds down. As we watch Boost Mobile make the B and C run to our right here at Race Control, and they head back across the lake. Big rooster tail kicking up behind. 222 Offshore Racing, Boost Mobile machine. Got to say hi to John Barbagallo if he's watching on, race engine builder for the team. Finished, I think he finished second in the Australian Pro Stock Drag Racing Championship this year. Spoke to John here a couple of years ago. Great guy to talk to. Very, very good engine builder, very accomplished engine builder. And he built some pretty bad, I was going to say bad ass, but you're not allowed to say bad ass, bad bottom race engines. But he does build some awesome race engines. So Boost are over at Warners Bay for what could be the final time if they time it here. So we're at 28:40. A minute 20 away from the 30-minute mark. So if Darren Nicholson and Jelly just cruise it here a little bit, they should take the checkered flag. Our Rescue 1 boat is already paced here on the finish line. The Australian Offshore Powerboat Club Rescue 1 boat. So we're watching Boost Mobile make the run past G down towards Spears Point. You can see how beautiful the weather is here this weekend at Lake Macquarie. We've got about 45 seconds to go. See how well they time this, otherwise they're going to do another lap. So 35 seconds to go. They might be a little bit early here. Do we get a checkered flag? I think there's going to be one more lap. 29, 38, 39, 40. One more lap. By 15 seconds. Mark Tolcher's to my right going, oh no, seriously? You're nervous? How are you nervous? Crew guys, we'll never change. I've been there, trust me. Hornet go through as we watch the Sting. Just making the run through G. So we won't get the checkered flag until we get Boost back around. So everyone's running around for another lap at least. So they mistimed it. They didn't mistime it. They didn't get to the checkered flag late enough. They were 15 seconds early. So they weren't going to put the checkered flag out with 15 seconds left to go to 30 minutes. So if it goes to that point, it's 30 minutes plus another lap. So Boost's already on the way over to Warners Bay. We've got the Sting about to get to the start-finish line very, very shortly, but it won't be a checkered flag because Boost Mobile is the first boat on the water. So one more lap pretty much for everyone behind Boost Mobile. So the Sting's lead is probably 20, 25 seconds now over Kess Racing. So Boost's just come off Warners Bay for the final time. There it is now. You can see folks lined up around Lake Macquarie. Some great vantage points around this race course. So Boost coming off G for the final time. This will be the checkered flag this time for Darren Nicholson and Steve Jallick and Boost Mobile. 222 Offshore Racing. Boys in the team racing for Muddy this weekend. We've certainly missed Peter McGrath being here. It's been a long, long time since Muddy has not been at one of these races over many, many years. So, Muddy and Sue, we're thinking about you guys, but your boat is going to take 3 from 3 at Lake Macquarie. Darren Nicholson and Stevie Jallick take the win in Boost Mobile. 3 wins from 3 starts. Now Mark told you can take a breath. DLR Offshore crossed the line. They'll be 4th in class in Supercatics outboard. 2nd place, and this is a giant killing performance, Hornet Racing on debut with the 525 Merc Cruisers on board. Hornet Racing 2nd for the 2nd race in a row. Mick Kelly and Jason Kelly. That is an outstanding effort. And that will be a good points haul going into the next round at Werribee in Victoria in February 2026. To check out our upcoming dates for the Australian Offshore Championship, check out our Facebook page, Offshore Superboats Australia. See where the teams will be racing over the next 6 or so months. We've got a little bit of a break now till February in 26 before we head to Victoria. So we've got the cameras on the Sting. Mike Ratcliffe and Carl Wall. Like Boost Mobile, 3 wins from 3 starts coming up here very, very shortly. Marmong Point, Empire Marina and Lake Macquarie, put your hands together for the Sting, racing for Lockie. 3 wins, 3 starts for the Sting in Supercat outboard. In behind them should be Kess Racing. Kess just coming down to the line now. And that's a great points haul for them this weekend with 3 second place finishes for Kess Racing, Steve Lancaster and Scott Kelly. 3rd in Supercat Extreme will be Venturi, Anthony DeFina and Matt Kelly. And there should be just one more boat on the race course, and it is TCR Racing. They will be 3rd in Supercat outboard. And again, for them, a good points haul out of the first round at Lake Macquarie. That boat's run faultlessly. They haven't just quite had the speed of the 4-stroke 300 Merc V8s up ahead of them. TCR Offshore with a pair of Merc 300 XS 2-strokes. They'll come off H&I for the final time. And that's our final boat on the water and for the weekend here at Lake Macquarie. TCR Racing, Scott Richardson and Stephen Kelly. 3rd in Supercat outboard. And they will be 6th overall for the final race here at Lake Macquarie. Well, folks, that is it from us here at Lake Macquarie. Thank you very, very much to all of our team, Russell Embleton in race control, all of his volunteers, the Australian Offshore Powerboat Club, all of our rescue boats on the water, our rescue people off the water, for their volunteering and being a part of this. Without them, we just wouldn't be able to do this without our volunteers on and off the water. Empire Marina, Lake Macquarie Council, Hornet Property Service, Wilson Lift as well for their support. To all of our teams, drivers, throttlemen, thank you very much for being here at Lake Macquarie. At the start of the weekend, we had one of the biggest entries in our Supercat classes that we've seen for a long, long time. And look, hopefully there's a couple more boats out there that we might see back on the water. But the 6 that we started with this weekend in Extreme, they put on some fantastic racing. A couple of them had some little dramas. Just watching 222 Offshore celebrating. Darren Nicholson. Absolutely stunningly presented boat. Stevie Jalek doing a good job. Pretty hard to replace Muddy, but the boys are out there off one of the corporate boats out there in the centre of the course. So Mojo looks like they're limping in on one engine, so the port engine doesn't look to be running. So they've either done another blade or they've got something else going on, as Darren Nicholson contemplating 3 wins from 3 starts. The Boost team are headed up to Key West in Florida in a couple of weeks. Mark Tolcher, crew chief's going to head up there this week to go prepare their Mobile X boat as part of that. I think we're going to sign off here down at Lake Macquarie. To the Blendline TV team, Daniel and your guys, thank you so much for having me as part of this. You've spoiled me and provided some very, very good pictures, and I'm not saying that because I'm here doing this. Genuinely, you've done a fantastic job and spoiled us with some pretty cool pictures throughout the weekend with all of our drone coverage and excuse me, and camera shots. And so thank you guys, and to the team. So we're going to wind up here at Lake Macquarie. That'll end our broadcast as Darren Nicholson's just cruising out there on the top of Boost Mobile, probably winding up Jelly at the same time. Thanks for watching. We will see you in February 26 at Werribee. Check out the Australian Offshore Superboat page for our upcoming dates. Thank you. I've been Jamie McCarthy. We will see you next time.